Wild and unpredictable. That sums up the 2012 Rolex sports car season. 3 races down and 3 different winners in both Daytona Prototypes and GT. Following a controversial rain-shortened event at Homestead Miami Speedway, Grand Am now comes to New Jersey, a track that's bitten the best, where cars have taken air and drivers' tempers have flared. The Grand Am family gathers for a Mother's Day special in the Garden State, where the weather is perfect, the season in full swing, and the outcome as unpredictable as ever. For the 5th consecutive year, New Jersey Motorsport Park welcomes the Rolex Sports Car Series. For this, the Global Barter 250. It's round 4 of the 13-round championship. Lovely to have you with us on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, and we're only 30 degrees cooler than what we were this time last year. We're just in the 70s. Hi folks, Lee Diffie along with Speed Sport Car experts Calvin Fish and Dorsey Schrader. And guys, when we think about this championship, got off to a very unpredictable start with a couple of surprise winners. But now at this stage, Cal, even though it is relatively early on, do we see the big 3, Gainsco, Ganassi and SunTrust, start to flex their muscle?
I think so, Lee. 2 of those 3 are certainly finding their stride right now. The defending champion Ganassi team find themselves in the points lead for the very first time this year on the back of consecutive podium finishes. And for the SunTrust team, it was a rough start, certainly, but they've got some momentum. A great win in the rain at Homestead and a pole position here for Ricky Taylor this weekend. But Dorsey, that points chase is still awfully tight.
Well, to put things in perspective, when you look at last year coming into this race, 25 points between the first and second place teams. Today, 2 points separate the top 2. It's
thrilling. We encourage you to join the conversation, whether it be via Facebook or Twitter. And the Twitter account there is #GA, as in Grand Am on Speed. So join the conversation. We are live. Send us your thoughts and opinions. Now, if you weren't with us 2 weeks ago from Homestead Miami Speedway, this is what went down. After an early non-finish at the Rolex 24 and then controversial contact at Barber with Darren Law's Action Express Daytona prototype, things finally turned around for the SunTrust Corvette team at Homestead. They were out in front when the race was stopped 52 minutes early due to treacherous driving conditions.
During the early stages of that race, Enzo Podolico's number 8 Starworks Ford Riley and the Barber winning number 90 Spirit of Daytona Corvette driven by Richard Westbrook made contact while battling for the lead, handing the top spot to SunTrust Ricky Taylor.
The Ganassi duo of Scott Pruitt and Memo Rojas finished runner-up, but now have the points lead. It was the 6th race in a row they didn't win. Their last victory here at New Jersey 1 year ago.
Well, with 3 different Daytona prototype teams splitting the first 3 rounds of this year, there's still quite a few teams that are looking for a win. Peter Barron's Starworks team came oh so close at the Rolex 24. And then there's Action Express, still seems to be trying to figure out this new Corvette. Surprisingly, Ganassi, they haven't won since July, and Gainsco desperately looking for a win. 14 drivers are within 9 points of this championship lead, and Alex Gurney and John Fogerty are not on that list. At Homestead, the Red Dragon experienced an engine fire related to water in the engine, the electronics. They are now 15 points out of that championship lead. If they don't have a strong finish today, their championship hopes could be fading. This Daytona Prototype Championship is oh so close, and GT is just as exciting.
Homestead saw the first victory for the Ferrari 458 in Grand Am competition in only its 3rd race. Co-drivers Jeff Siegel, a Philadelphia native, and New York's Samil Asentato now lead the points.
At Barber, Sylvain Tremblay and Jonathan Bomarito were the first to the checkers in the tried and trusted number 70 Speed Source Mazda RX-8. They're also the only repeat winners here at New Jersey.
And the Rolex 24 at Daytona, the biggest race of them all, was captured by the number 44 Magnus Racing Porsche, with regular drivers John Potter and Andy Lally victorious, joined by that event by Richard Leitz and Rene Rast.
And when you consider the teams in GT who have not stepped on top of the box yet, for the Porsches of defending champion Brumos and TRG, hasn't been a lack of pace, been more a lack of racing luck. Then for the big booming V8s of Turner BMW and the Stevenson and Auto House Camaros, some of it's the dearth of luck, but more importantly, they say they're hampered by running a small rear tire compared to their weight and power. They can't keep the tire alive. In qualifying here, though, Stevenson hit a setup, and a motivated John Edwards, back after missing 2 races for a skiing-related injury, was on form, on pole by half a second over the field. 2nd through 11th, though, covered by less than a second. And right in the middle of that, one of the great stories, guys, a brand new team, Limitless Racing, has shown up. Recently took delivery of an Audi R8, has fully embraced the concept of a customer program, tested it as is, showed up here, put it on the outside of that second row. Just a great story. And of course, happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Indeed, Greg, on both accounts. And let's highlight and congratulate our Total respective pole sitters, Ricky Taylor and John Edwards, two very talented young men. And guess what? These two guys sat on their respective pole positions here at New Jersey Motorsports Park 12 months ago. The Subaru starting grid rolls in at the top of your screen, and the co-drivers as well. You'll see who is where. So we've got weather on our side. Nothing like Homestead Miami Speedway. Nothing like what is traditionally here at New Jersey, where it's in excess of 100 degrees. Comfortable day, good field, good championship story, and we've got a 22-year-old pole sitter alongside a two-time Daytona prototype champion here at Thunderbolt Raceway. Let's go racing, and Ricky Taylor, the pole man, gets a good one, but look at Ganassi on the inside. Memo Rojas was forceful.
He was, and he now flicks to the outside of Ricky Taylor. He's looking for the lead. They bang doors down in turn one.
Awesome job by Memo Rojas to get that car up there from third place to second in just turn one.
Fogarty had to give way there as they entered the chicane area.
We knew we were going to be in for an exciting race today. Why? I've never heard so many of these top Daytona prototype teams saying, we can win today. These guys are pumped.
Track position is everything, Calvin, and right now, being aggressive at the start is a good way to get that positioning.
It really is, because everyone believed, yes, the SunTrust team got that pole position. What will their longevity be like on these long runs? Will they keep that pace? Now they've split from that Red Dragon, which everyone felt had good long run pace here this weekend. So a good break for Ricky Taylor with Rojas in the second position.
As you would imagine, the competitors of SunTrust Racing were saying, hey, they got lucky. We understand Homestead was called short. We'll see how they go next time at full race length, but I like the way that Ricky Taylor launched from that pole position. And speaking of pole, it's been snatched away from John Edwards to his former team. Speed Source Principal Sylvain Tremblay leads the way.
Sylvain Tremblay in the Mazda, now remember, has won the last 2 years in a row here. Going for a three-peat, has got that lead.
Yeah, and there's a new tire on the GT machines this weekend. Is coded GTR, the road racing derivative of the Continental tire, and everyone's really liking it, but they really feel it'll work very well on the Mazda, which is ominous for the rest of this field, bearing in mind their history here at New Jersey Motorsports Park.
Mazda, Camaro, Porsche, Audi, and then Chevrolet Corvette for that Marsh Racing wheeling machine. Look at Elavan Goulart there in the 08. Great start. He wasn't only fluking it in qualifying, he is going on with it, proving it was no fluke.
We'll get some pressure from behind there. That
Look at him bounce the curb there, Dorsey, really sideways.
Boris said right behind him in the 31 wheeling Corvette, and you're right, Calvin, launch it. You have to use the curbs here. This is a very narrow racetrack, not a lot of racing room, so the curbs are essential.
42 is the Salins Mazda RX-8 of Wayne Nonamaker. That car was on the podium here last year. He and Dane Cameron have come together like a really strong combination already. This car will be a contender today.
It really will. Dane has been flying here this weekend, fastest in a couple of the practice sessions. But the 31 car is suddenly finding some speed. I spoke to Teddy Marsh about 10 minutes before the green today. He said, well, we got off to a bad start. We listened to the drivers in terms of setup, which was pretty funny. He said, we got it straightened out. We should have a good race car today.
I also talked to Boris said right before he got in the race car, he said, tires, rear tires, I've got to keep them alive on the first part of this race.
Let's go back to the start and let's climb aboard the 01 Telmex Ganassi machine. Here it is. This is what it looked like for Memo Rojas. Ricky Taylor ahead, Fogarty off to the left.
Memo timed that absolutely perfectly. Ricky was stacking everybody up with a little jostling right there. Memo nailed it.
He did. Ricky defends the inside line, but look at Memo really in on deep on the brakes. Ricky maintains the inside line. Fogarty's going to be to Rojas's right, but he has to give way there for turn two.
These guys know that it is challenging to pass at New Jersey Motorsports Park. You've got to do it. You've got to be opportunistic. You've got to make the most of it when you can, like Rojas did.
Yeah, they realize, they feel they're still a little bit down on straightaway speed, but the lap time is pretty good. Look how close it is there. You see there, the rear fence there on the 01 car may have got clipped by the 99 machine. Let's take another look at it.
Oh yeah, a little bang right there. Nothing much. Might have got,
another one
did
there.
get the front template. Yeah, got that little wing on the left front of the 99, I believe.
And there was a little nudge there too between Terry Borchella and John Fogarty, so it was all going on that opening lap, and that lead margin that Ricky Taylor once enjoyed has been extinguished. Rojas is right with him.
Wow, this is a surprise. Everyone thought that the Ganassi team may be a little bit off the pace here. They seemed pretty confident this morning when I spoke to them, so we've got a pretty good race car. We've got to play the strategy right, but this pace by Rojas is very impressive. They were quite a ways off in qualifying, Dorsey.
Yeah, I agree, Taylor. We haven't seen the speed out of the Ganassi guys in any of the practice sessions or qualifying for that matter this weekend. For this car to be jumped to the front and to be contending is somewhat of a surprise.
You know what it's like, guys. We go around and we talk to each and every team, and usually at a normal race weekend, someone will say, not quite there, not quite happy. Go to SunTrust today, we can win. Go to Ganassi today, car's been the best that we've had it ever this year. We get to know it now. Go to Gainsco. The words of Alex Gurney, we can win today. It's uncharacteristic. They all feel they really have a chance. We'll see if this SunTrust Corvette can continue the momentum from Homestead Miami Speedway. Ricky Taylor up and away. So are we. You're watching Sports Cars live on Speed. Confidence. Plenty of that out here at the moment at New Jersey Motorsports Park as we welcome you back. Let's put the spotlight on exactly where we are in the world, Dors.
Well, here we are in the great state of New Jersey. You see Philadelphia up there, Atlantic City, very popular, in Millville, where the 2.25 mile road racing circuit called Thunderbolt Raceway lies. Now, it's a very tough course to pass on. 2.25 miles, 12 corners involved here. We'll see a lot of side-to-side action.
Called Thunderbolt Raceway in honor of how the local area, one of the reasons the local area was made famous, of course, because of the P-47 Thunderbolt aircraft, in which some more than 1,500 pilots trained during wartime days. Let's have a look at the news and notes this week, Cal.
Great to see Doran Racing back with Paul Tracy, PT, behind the wheel along with Jim Lowe. They shared the car at Daytona. Michael Valiente is going to be doing 4 races, some for Antonio Garcia, as he has Corvette racing responsibilities this year. And great to see that Limitless Racing R8 in competition for the first time in the Grand Am Series.
In Daytona prototype, Ricky Taylor leads Momo Rojas, John Fogarty. Nothing's changed there in GT. Likewise, in the top 3, it's still Mazda for Sylvain Tremblay, the 57 Camaro of John Edwards and then Andrew Davis. One positional change. Boris said in that Corvette has got by Elevan Goulart in the Audi R8. Remember, in DP's, Dors, nobody has won twice here at New Jersey Motorsports Park, and as you said at the top of the show, this little black Mazda is going for 3 in a row.
Seems to be like a really good racetrack for this car. That's the lightest car in the GT field. The corners here in New Jersey are real long corners. In other words, instead of being 90s and choppy corners, they're more like 130, 160 degree, 80 degree corners where you're in the corner a long time. It grinds the tire quite viciously.
One of the great things about sports car racing is it attracts drivers from all walks of the sport, whether it be NASCAR or former Formula One drivers or IndyCar drivers. Yep, we got one of those there, a former open wheel champ. PT, Paul Tracy's in the house.
Yeah, Paul Tracy has participated in the Rolex 24 for a few years, and the last time we saw you at a sprint race was Mexico City a few years back. Nice to see you back behind the wheel, but a few weeks ago you pretty much said, I'm done going after the open wheel rides. I'm going to focus on sports cars.
Yeah, I mean, I had a long, great career in Indy cars, and, you know, I had made a 22-year career, so, you know, it came to a point where it was time to turn the page, and now my focus is on the Rolex Sports Car Series. And I've always loved doing these races and doing the 24-hour. It's just a treat to be here.
You guys are running the older style bodywork this weekend. Is that a little bit of a handicap?
I mean, it's tough to compete when you have new generation stuff. The newer stuff's always better, but Jim's doing a great job. If we can stay on the lead lap here in this first hour, and then I'll get in and try to finish it out and get a good finish for us.
Well, we're hoping to see Paul at least 2 more races this year. Greg?
Well, playing a serious game of pursuit is Lucas Luhr. First of all, in Monterey yesterday, you had a lot of success with a win. Congratulations. Did the overnight. You're here. You guys had to start at the back of the DP field. First of all, how's things going for Alex right now?
Well, so far it's good. We knew it's going to be tough. You know, we had to fly overnight. And Alex, he was even later than me. So he showed up in the plane with all his suits still on and everything. So that made me laugh a little bit. But no, so far it's been good. You know, we did a couple of laps this morning. I've never been here. At least Alex knows the track. But so far, you know, we have very good good shape, and hopefully, you know, as the race goes on, we can make our progress to the front.
And you've, I understand, made the commitment. You've moved here to the States now, full-time resident.
Yeah, no, driving both series, you know, fly 30 times over from Europe to the US, so it's not so nice. So my family is at Boca now. Hello, guys. And we're enjoying the nice weather here.
Absolutely. Compared to last year, you lucked out. You don't have to use too much of that cool suit.
Now, I ask you guys, would it make you nervous if the guy in the airplane next to you came in with a fireproof suit on?
I understand there are photos of Alex Popov getting on a commercial flight last night from the West Coast to here, still in his driving suit. Hey, key points, the Continental Tire keys to the race. Cal, talk us through them.
Well, tyres, we talked about already. There's a new generation of the GT tyre called the GTR, which has performed really, really well here. What it has done is sped up the GT field a little bit, so passing is going to be tough for the Daytona prototypes. This is a tight racetrack, tough to get by anyway, and the GTs are really flying this weekend. Also, it's a lot cooler. You talked about it, Lee. Cooler for the drivers, really a lot cooler for the tyres, so they can really extend the run on these tyres here before needing to change like years past.
And taking it one step further, keeping a cool head because it's very close in proximity. A lot of bumping and banging here.
Well, as you guys are talking about tires in the booth, I'm already hearing that on the radios. A lot of, hey, tire management, that's key here today. Now, this track, previous years, it's been two issues. These long duration corners really grinding these tires away, but also the excessive temperatures we have seen previous years. We saw temperatures on the track of 130 to 140 degrees. I just checked the track temperature, 92 degrees. So about a 40 to 50 degree split there from previous years. Dorsey, you've had a lot of time behind the wheel and different track temps. What does that feel like, a 40 or 50 degree difference in track temp?
Well, that's just like night and day. I mean, it's unbelievable what the temperature on that track, it turns the rubber into, you know, just mush, and it squirms around and feels like you got flat tires all day. Today, this is optimum, guys, for racing.
Here's an angry little group. Patrick Lindsay is under attack from Emil Asentado. This is the FXDD Ferrari that leads the GT Championship. Then Scott Maxwell is filling in because Patrick Dempsey and Joe Foster not here this weekend. And then John Potter, team principal. And we've got a battle for the lead. Whoa! Well, that R8 Audi just got in the way of Memo Rojas, and Ricky Taylor went the right side. Rojas went the wrong side.
Yeah, he tried to use it as a pick, and suddenly that road was blocked for Memo, and Ricky was on the outside, nowhere to go. 41, a quick spin there. There's a little bit of runoff area around this racetrack, so that's the good news if the boys do take off course.
It was worth taking that risk, though, for Memo, though, trying to take that split. He was going to go one to each side. We'll take a look at what it looks like on board.
Oh, and that's what happened to Charlie Putman. He was in the middle of that, and he went out onto the grass.
Got run off, yeah, sure did.
This is turn 8 into the turn 9 area. And Mabel can see the R8 up ahead. Ricky decides to go to the right. Really, he picked the right move there because that R8 was going to take to the apex right here and block Mamo ultimately.
Again, though, a risk worth taking, and you can see he was ready to jump on the brake if it didn't work when it didn't.
There is Charles Putman, a former Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series champ who is in his full-time 41 ride this year. Top 3 have bunched up courtesy of that little scrap because John Fogarty in the red Gainsco Red Dragon has caught the back. So too has David Donahue. You may have noticed on the screen, Terry Borchella has dropped back to 9th in car number 9, and we are not sure why. We'll endeavour to find out for you because it was a great start from Borchella. He'll hand over to Joao Barbosa. No JC France this weekend, so Terry enjoying a lot more time behind the wheel of the Action Express Corvette.
Well, guys, you know, early you talked about the contact between the 01 and the 99 and that it affected one of those dive planes. John Fogarty told me earlier they were working on a race setup which was sort of mid-downforce. This is a high downforce track for speed, but in traffic, with the following for so long, sometimes you don't want downforce, so you have straight line to get by these cars. Well, they still wanted some of the grip on the front, but they didn't want as much as a full dive plane. So the team just trimmed one of their big dive planes, normally that much. They've cut that off. When they stop, they're considering, based on what the input they're getting from John at the time, if he says he needs a little bit more grip, they've got that ready to bolt on and to stop.
Well, the competitors trimmed it a little bit more than that because there's none on there on the left or the right, Calvin.
Yeah, that's one of the big things here is the compromise between downforce and straightaway speed, and they felt that the car needed good downforce for the qualifying run, but in the race, John and Alex were really working on that low downforce setup, but this is really heating up. We talked about it, the passing around this place is very, very difficult, and it really puts a lot of pressure on the leader. Look at Ricky Taylor threading his way through. Fogarty trying to take advantage on Rojas.
It's one of the largest challenges here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. How and when do you make your move, not only on your opponent, but lap traffic or GT traffic, particularly for the Daytona prototypes? Off to a flying start. We'll be back. As many of you will know, it is NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race Week, so the Race Hub presented by Ram is going to be a very busy show this week. Being based in Speed's Charlotte, North Carolina headquarters, just down the road from Charlotte Motor Speedway, I'm sure it's going to be like a rotating door of stars, a revolving door of stars. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. The show always gets repeated as well, 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. As we look to the weather here, I mentioned it right at the top of the show. We were at 105 here last year and 110 heat index, and we're in the mid-70s here. It's just been beautiful all week. However, the important thing to note there, we are here a couple of months earlier than what we traditionally have been. We're back, we're racing. Ricky Taylor has a narrow margin over Memo Rojas and John Fogarty. Then you can see the 5 of David Donahue sitting back there in a steady 4th place. What happened here? This is just a few moments ago when we're in break.
Oh, that was late by Memo down the inside there. Boy, oh boy. Edwards had committed to that apex and Memo just pushed it down the inside, and Paul went for a bit of a ride there.
Didn't spin though, so I don't believe it'll draw a penalty, but for rough driving, it was just a little bit optimistic getting in there that deep.
About 130 miles an hour as they almost take off over that rise there. The track has been changed from the first year where they literally caught air, put in that chicane area to slow them down on the approach, but very fast part of the racetrack.
This is great racing. We've got the top 4 Daytona prototypes nose to tail. Taylor, Rojas, John Fogarty, and David Donahue. They're doing a really effective job of getting through GT traffic.
And at this point, only the drivers in those 4 cars know what kind of tire degradation they're causing. You have to be very, very, you got to feel that steering wheel and see if you got too much understeer. You got to be real nice on the throttle so you don't spin those tires up, or they'll definitely fall off before the fuel does.
Yeah, and everyone said that the 99 car seemed good on the long runs, as did the 01, but the 10 car had the speed, and then right immediately after that qualifying run, Max Angelo went to Ricky Taylor, said, right, we have the speed now we need to keep it.
Look at this fight in GT.
That's 1-2 in GT right there, and they're about to be gabbled up.
And you would say that big heavy Camaro is going to use its tires up a lot quicker than the Mazda, but so far John Edwards has done a brilliant job.
He has. He knows what the Mazda has. Remember, he had a brilliant run here last year with the pole and a podium finish. The switch to the GM group this year, and great to see him back in action, having missed a couple of races. Look at the DP cars coming through. This is going to be really tight there. Fogarty's going to lose a little bit of ground. Great run by Ricky Taylor there, getting through both cars very easily, very cleanly. He's done a great job in managing this race.
What's it like to drive one of those Speed Source Mazda RX-8s? Let's find out from Jonathan Bomarito.
Yeah, he and Sylvain Tremblay finished 12th at Homestead because of a sticky throttle, but now they're at a racetrack that always seems to suit the Mazda well. Why is that, Jonathan?
Yeah, we're trying for 3 in a row this weekend. New Jersey Motorsport Park is just really good for our Mazda RX-8. It's a tighter track, it's hard on tires, and if it stays green a long time, we really excel in that sort of environment. So the guys are doing a good job. Sylvain's running up front, doing what he needs to do, saving tires, and we're looking for another good result.
A little bit lighter car, better on tires. Greg?
Well, from tried and true to absolutely brand new, the Audi R8. This is its first season. Brad Kettler, you sort of head up Audi North America's customer program, if you will. Brand new team here with Limitless Racing, a great qualifying run, and of course APR continuing from the start of the season. What's the take currently on how things are going?
Well, we're pretty happy. We got, of course, we'd like to be doing a bit better, but we had some small competition adjustments. Grand Am, and it's made a difference. The cars have been farther up in practice and in qualifying than we've seen before, and it seems that they're a bit more raceable. The Grand Am's been real good about working with us and the rest of the field about how to create a better race situation for us, and yeah, it's a work in progress. It's a new program, and we're real happy with the 2 teams we got. The Grand Am is the kind of place where a team like Limitless, a new team, can come in with limited resources and do a pretty good job. And we're just hoping to grow and continue to get more cars in it and be part of it. It's a great series.
Well, certainly this group is hoping that the potential is limitless. Guys?
Yeah, certainly the cars have shown some good form in this weekend. They have had some performance adjustments, Greg, as Brad alluded to. The wing has been raised a couple inches, got some front louvers, more dive planes, so more downforce added to that car, and it was in desperate need of that because it got a big change before Grand Am allowed it in.
And Goulart remains in the top 5 in GT in that Limitless Racing R8 for the APR car, which we saw there. Dr. Jim Norman's down in 13th. Back at the front in Daytona Prototypes unchanged, Ricky Taylor in the SunTrust Corvette. That Telmex Riley BMW with Memo Rojas sitting second ahead of John Fogarty in the next best Corvette for Bob Stalling's Gainsco Auto Insurance racing team, and then the first of the Action Express Corvettes. And just to update you on the Borcella story, we understand Terry had a slight spin earlier. That's what sent him back about 5 positions, but he's making up for lost ground.
Starting to see a little wiggle out of the back of the 99. Watch for the rear tires to start to go off.
17 laps down, and we've been caution-free the whole way. This has been a great start. Hope you're enjoying it. Grand Am live here on Speed.
Oh, look at this. Here they're going. They're bumping at it. Oh, no! Brake issue.
That just locks him up.
He's on the other side of the fence.
No, no, no! They got robbed! That's the kind of action and entertainment you can expect from the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series. And let's bring you right back to a point that Dorsey made about the series points right at the top of the show. At the same stage of the championship after 3 rounds this time last year, the margin from first to second was 25 points. It was huge. This year, there's 5 points blanketing the top 4 combinations, top 5 combinations. This is a super tight championship.
It really is. In fact, there's 14 drivers separated by just 9. And look at this in GT, Dorsey. 10 drivers separated by 9 points. It's all to play for right now.
And we expect it in GT. They've always put on a good show like that. But this year, nobody's taken command of either class and really run with the ball yet. We're waiting for that.
And that's the way we like it. We're going to show you something, a bit of a close call while we're in that last commercial break. And this is on board the FXDD Ferrari. Take a look at Dr. Jim Lowe up ahead in that orange Durham Dallara prototype. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Got it.
That was loose in, and then he had the rise to worry about.
He's done a great job. This is him down hard on the brakes, down inside Emil in the GT car, of course. Then he comes up into this area. Turn 2 is very high speed right through here, and the car just gets loose on him. Look at that. Corrects it, gathers it all up. He's done a really, really good job. He's only 2 seconds off the leaders in this older generation DP machine.
That's why they call him the world's fastest neurosurgeon, because he had the fastest hands there. That was a great catch. We ride with Rojas. He's currently second. The lead margin that Ricky Taylor has, as you can see, it's only a few car lengths. Let's go to the Ganassi camp now, and here's the man, the master, Scott Pruitt.
His teammate right now all over the back of Ricky Taylor. And Scott, you and Mamo both said this weekend the car working better than it has. What is the car doing that you guys are liking?
Well, the Telmex BMW, it seems like we've been finding some things. It's a new chassis for us. That's the first one since 2004, and it's just reacting different. I don't think it's all aero. I think it's some mechanical as well. Happy Mother's Day to all those mothers out there. Hey, honey. And with that, it's just, you know, at Barber, I didn't think we did a good job. At Homestead, we came back. We made significant changes to the car. Thought the car was pretty good, and then unloading here, it was right out of the box pretty solid.
Past couple years, you and Mamo typically a double-point lead before Memorial Day. Right now, only a 2-point lead in this championship. Does that make you a little bit uneasy?
No, it doesn't. I mean, we knew coming out of the box, you know, not getting as many points as we would have liked to at Daytona. You just got to come back from. The good news is we have come back. We've gotten back in the lead. But it's one of those things, you know, it's so competitive as we're seeing this race going on right now. I mean, it's anybody's game right now.
Yeah, top 4 cars, nose to tail. Greg?
Well, we've got a great battle unfolding in GT in the battle for third, and Boris in the Whelen Corvette looking very, very racy. And Eric, obviously you're excited about what you're seeing on track right now.
Yeah, I am really excited. But first off, I just want to say hi to my family at home. Oh, wait a minute, they're here. Yeah, I mean, that Whelen Corvette's going well right now. Boris doing a good job in the 31 Whelen. This track kind of owes us one. We had a fast Whelen Corvette last year and led for a long time, got tangled up with a lap car. So, I mean, hopefully we can get that car back out front. The Mazda's looking pretty strong right now, but Boris is trying to maintain and have a a good car over a long run. This track's tough on tires, so I think I learned a thing or two yesterday's Continental race. So try to use that to my advantage today and just be easy on the tires, but be quick enough. And I found a few places I can make up some time. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think, you know, just try to get this wheel and core right towards the front. We need a good finish. It's been a tough year for us so far.
Absolutely. When you look back to that race last year, guys, there's not a lot of empty water bottles laying around here.
What Greg's alluding to there, you may remember that Boris said was very frustrated with one of the Dempsey cars and drivers and threw a plastic water bottle at him, and they exchanged a few niceties.
Here we see the 90 machine driven by Michael Valiente right now. They qualified really well up on the second row. They had a rear wing infraction. The gurney was a little bit too short. There's a minimum gurney height requirement with the DPs this year. They were just underneath there. It really wasn't a performance advantage, but rules are rules. They got turf to the back, and Michael finds himself in the thick of a battle here with Enzo Podolicchio. The 90 and the 8 car had such a great battle at Homestead, don't forget, with Westy behind the wheel. And right behind him, Borchell, as you said, Lee, had that spin. He's recovered nicely. He's got a very fast car underneath him.
You know, thinking ahead, when you look at the parity that we're looking at right now on the racetrack, it really puts a huge emphasis on strategy and the pit stops when they start to occur to get these cars in and out in an expedient fashion, because this racetrack is about, without question, without track positioning.
And that's a good point, though, as you talk about pit stops. If it stays green like it is right now, most of these cars, both DPs and GC, will struggle to do it on fuel on 2 stops only. You're going to be looking for a splash. Talking to most of the teams, they said we need 8 to 10 laps of yellow to make it on 2 today. So right now, it's been green all the way.
And the person who has led all the way is in that orange and white Corvette for Wayne Taylor Racing, Ricky Taylor. 1, 2, 3, you're about to see David Donoghue. Tell us more about David, Chris.
Well, just listening to David Donoghue on the radio, lap 22, he said that he is pretty tight in the middle of the corner, and then when trying to accelerate off the corner, has no traction. So he was asking the team if they could give him any advice on what he should be doing with the bars. The team responded, try softening the rear and stiffening up that front, see if the car works any better. But David, your pace is really good. It's right there with the leaders.
Whoa. Speaking of the leaders, there goes Taylor. Contact
right there.
Fogarty turns Rojas, and Donoghue goes through.
And he's high centered. I think he's going to get, no, he got it going. That's good. Won't bring out the caution this way.
These guys have history.
Don't worry about it.
That's Tim Keane, Ganassi team manager, saying don't worry about it, get on with it.
Really want to see this from the outside before I place any blame on that. That was pretty tight. Pretty tight proximity getting down into 1. Let's look at it.
Cal, it was only a matter of time, wasn't it? They were all racing too close for too long.
Well, you just get stacked up with this GT traffic, and Fogarty had a good run on him. He gets down the inside. You see it's pretty bumpy there, and then he's down in the dust there up on the curb. Really, it was a pretty optimistic move by the 99 car, trying to take advantage of the traffic that was coming up. Here we see it. Maimel hard on the power, down inside the GT cars. He's not going to expect Fogarty to look for an opening there that isn't there, Dorsey.
No, that's for sure. Ricky Taylor didn't clear that first car that he was trying to get by. Take a look now, right here. He's going to have to slow up. It stacks everybody behind him. Really lucky there wasn't contact with the Ferrari in the 99.
We heard the voice of that man there. That is Tim Keane, team manager at the Ganassi squad. He'll be trying to just calm Rojas down and get him back on task. We'll be back right after this. New Jersey sports car fans are enjoying a good day here at Thunderbolt Raceway in the Global Barter 250. This is round 4 of the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series. I can update you on a message from Race Control that the number 99 Gainsco Red Dragon, driven by John Fogarty, has not received a penalty for that contact. It has been deemed a racing incident.
There's a Freudian slip there when you said it, right? Given by...
Yes. Exactly.
It's tough. I mean, I think the whole key is consistency with the calls. We haven't seen anything... oh, here we see the 2 car and the 40 car, really high speed. That fast sweeper on the front straightaway.
Wow, that's 140 mile per hour corner, top of 4th gear.
Popoff has done a brilliant job just coming in overnight from a race at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca yesterday. There we see him. He obviously tried to dive down the inside of the Mazda. The gap wasn't there and turns them both around.
That's not a place you want to be making contact, that's for sure.
So how much damage was done to Rojas? He is in 4th place and he was able to gather it up and get going again fairly quickly. Chrissy's about 3.7 seconds behind Ricky Taylor. There's the lead trio up ahead, and I'd say there's a fair bit of anger inside that helmet.
Well, Lee, actually watching Tim Keen when that call came down that that was just a racing incident, I was surprised that there wasn't much emotion there. Tim just came over the radio and said, hey, don't worry about it. We got a really fast car today. Put your head down. Let's race this thing and get back. Let's get that thing back to the front. The only thing really wrong with that car, steering alignment a little bit off right now and the car tight. So Tim Keen said they're going to take a little bit of wicker off that wing when they come into pit.
Well, Tim Keen has a cool head. He's leading by example. They will be a little bit perplexed somehow, I think, because the Chip Ganassi Racing squad involved in this incident here with John Fogarty. Bang, and turned. And racing continued. Several weeks ago at Barber Motorsports Park, Rojas had this brush with a GT car, no turned. Everybody kept racing and was given a drive-through penalty and a stop and go.
The key with a drive-through penalty, you can see, is a stop and hold there, but it's 25 seconds difference in coming down pit lane at the speed limit compared to being on the racetrack. So it's a major penalty if you get it. Fogarty may have gotten away with one there, I feel, because that was tight racing, but the law seems to have been laid down. You know, if you turn someone around like that, you're going to get a penalty. Today it didn't happen.
Well, there's always two sides to the story. What's the story from Bob Stallings?
Well, that's a great question. He's glued to the monitor right now, Bob. Obviously, we'd like to get your take on that incident between John and the leader at the time, Memo.
Yeah, I think, look, there's a lot of history between those two cars and those two drivers. I think both incidents were simply racing incidents, no big deal.
Well, we've received word that at this point it doesn't look like there's going to be any penalty issued, so clearly he got away with one, and obviously it's an intense battle for second. Now he's got it. What do you have in hand at this point to be able to go after that lead car in the SunTrust battle?
Well, I mean, realistically, unless the SunTrust car slows down quite a bit, we're pretty comfortable staying in second place. Very, very long race to go. We want to be there at the end.
All right, and obviously they're working hard to do exactly that, and in the background you may have seen Mr. Gurney getting ready to get on board.
Well, more dramas on the track. The 9 and the 99.
Oh, this damage, left rear corner is broken.
Yeah, he's broken suspension on the left rear. They had gotten together. The 90 went on, but there was contact, and that left rear is definitely askew.
It's Michael Valiente in the 90 Spirit of Daytona Corvette and Terry Borchella in the Action Express Corvette. What happened? Let's show you.
Well, just good hard racing so far right here.
Oh, Podlicki was got, because the 90 car was behind the 8, and then suddenly Terry dives it down the outside here. Oh, it's the 2 and the 9 get turned around as Popoff there.
Wow, the 90 had nothing to do with it.
No, not involved at all. So Popoff recovering after the spin. I got mixed up seeing those cars because the 8 car was in front of him, the other Star Wars car, a couple of laps ago. It's an ugly scene there, and Valiente just really an innocent bystander there.
So Popov was involved in that earlier incident with the GT car, the Dempsey Racing Mazda, and turned Scott Maxwell around. That was deemed to be a racing incident. He kept going, then he was involved in that one. It's been an eventful day for the Venezuelan.
This is Scott Maxwell riding on board the Mazda 40 car. They work their way through the infield.
In GT, Tremblay leads Edwards, leads Davis, Said and Goulart. The top 5 have not changed. Wayne Nonamaker still doing a good job. You just saw him there, and the 42 is running in 6th place. There's our GT leader right there. And I tell you what, the margin between 3rd of David Donohue and 4th of Memo Rojas is reducing rapidly.
Yeah, Rojas is coming. He's been on run laps a lot faster than the leaders, about half a second a lap faster. He's got to deal with this GT traffic. Right now, he's got to be so careful there. This is our leader in GT. He's not going to give you a lot of room. He doesn't want to eat up any of his lap time by letting you through. There you can see how difficult it was for even a DP car to get around a GT car here at New Jersey, Dorsey.
Well, there's not a huge time difference here, Calvin, between those two classes, as this racetrack is so tight with so many corners that the 2 speed differentials are probably the tightest here as we've seen.
We're now hearing that the 290 and 9 incident was a racing incident, so I think there is probably Alex just really trying to regroup after the off, and he had that pack closing in on him. So, but major drama. Remember the 90 car? They're really looked at as a serious championship threat this year, back off that win at Barber, and Got a little bit unlucky with the shortened race at Homestead, otherwise they could have been a factor there too for the win.
Also, another thing you're going to see as the race progresses is that this is a one-lane racetrack. Very narrow, hard to pass on. When cars try to make a passing attempt, they have to go offline. When they go offline, they get in where the dirty part of the racetrack is. That causes those kind of skirmishes.
Chris?
Well, Terry Borcheller's limped his way back to pit lane, and you can see in this left rear corner, some of the suspension broke back here, so that rear wheel just kind of towing in and out as it came down pit lane. And yeah, definitely left rear suspension. We got some broken parts back here, so this is going to be a long stop. These guys are out of this fight.
And that's a shame because it was a strong start from Terry, had that minor spin, got going again, and was making up some good ground before getting taken out by Alex Popov. We've had plenty of action, but the two class leaders have been rock solid here in New Jersey. We mentioned earlier it's NASCAR All-Star Week at Charlotte. Coverage begins Friday at 10:30 Eastern live. It's a huge week, and it's going to have the biggest Fast Friday ever. Grab a seat, get comfortable. Speed will crank with 12 consecutive hours of live Sprint Cup and Camping World Truck Series coverage that you can't get anywhere else. All-Star Week like no other. Hey, you might have grabbed a snack in the break. Memo Rojas has grabbed 2 positions. You must be saying, what? Yeah, there he is. He's vying for the lead. This has been quite the comeback from the multi-time Daytona prototype champion. It has been an incredible drive, not only to make his way back to that lead quartet, or that lead trio, but then get past 2 of them. How did he do it? We're about to show you.
Unbelievable. I tell you what, this is one of the most impressive driving stints I've seen from Memo in his DP career. Just a brilliant recovery. How did he get into that second spot? Well, look up ahead. There's a lot of traffic coming through the high-speed part of the racetrack. Watch Fogarty go to the outside of this Mazda. He gets stacked up, as does Donahue. Well, guess what? Memo got a brilliant run. 2-in-1 move, Dorsey.
Memo saw that happening. He backed off his throttle. It takes a lot of education. It takes a lot of guts to do this. He slowed himself up so he could get a run at him, and he just whistled right by. And I agree with you, Calvin. That's the best piece of driving I've seen Memo have, if not in his career, certainly for a long time.
We got activity on pit road. What's happening, Chris?
Yeah, it's going to start getting busy down here. Our GT leaders in, and Jonathan Bomarito already behind the wheel, fuel, tires on that car. And guys, I'm hearing some rumors about a big Mazda announcement relating to Grand Am coming up in the next few weeks at Detroit.
Yeah, we've heard they've been working on a different type of power plant. Renowned for their rotary engines. We'll see what's coming down the pipeline, Chris. Starworks team, this is Popov turned over to Lucas Luhr, I believe.
Won't start.
Both those drivers came in overnight, landed in Philly at 7:30 this morning. Quick trip up to the racetrack to make the warm-up.
Trouble with the restart on that car. You see the crew pushing them as we watch the 42 Salen's Mazda. This is a normal pit stop for these guys. They get away clean.
Remember last year here it was 1, 2, 3 in GT. All Mazda RX-8s. 1, 2, 3 here. Look at Rojas. He's trying to get that lead position away from Ricky Taylor. Ricky has not been headed in this race. A little loose, a little taily on the exit of that turn. He knows that Rojas means business.
This is brilliant racing. Ricky Taylor hanging on for dear life right now. Rojas is hooked up, as is Donahue. I'd have to say the second and third place cars are a little bit stronger than Ricky Taylor's car right now. He is just hanging in there. This is all Ricky Taylor if he can maintain this lead.
And Rojas has got adrenaline on his side, not only because he got bumped off the road, but also that beautiful double pass he made for second place. Now he's got that adrenaline, wants the lead. Here he comes.
Mid-corner, Rojas was going for it. The Marsh Racing Whelen Corvette is in. Great opening stint, Boris said.
Greg? Absolutely fantastic stint, and it is Kern who's going to be getting on board. I asked Eric if they're going to make any changes. He said just some tire pressure changes, nothing major. Said Boris kept yelling for wedge, but they can't do that. So they're going with the tires. Also, the number 60 Shank MSR entry was in and out as well. So pit lane very busy here. And guys, just before all of this, the number 8 Starworks entry also made a stop.
Yeah, and these guys are pitting at about 50 minutes on the board, so if you times that by 3 for 2 starts, it's not going to get you to 2 hours 45 minutes. You're going to be 10-15 minutes short here, so these boys will be looking for a splash of fuel unless we see some yellow, and that's the strategy we talked about. 2 stops or 3 today.
Of course, once wedge, he needs to tighten his right shoulder belt only.
This is the 57 of John Edwards. He leads GT, yet to come in. He'll hand over to the Scotsman, Robin Liddell. And this is the driving combination that was meant to be together for the entire 2012 season. The 42 of Dane Cameron looks to the inside. He's only just climbed aboard that car and he's looking racy.
Yeah, well, he's a lap down essentially, so he wants to jump back on this lead lap. He's on fresher tires than Jonathan is, so he's going to try and make this move. It's the leader of the race. This is not for position. This puts Dane Cameron back on the lead lap.
We've just been talking a lot about Boris Said. Here he is.
Boris, awesome opening stint, obviously, putting a lot of pressure on in that battle for third. Car looks pretty racy.
Yeah, I mean, the Whelen Corvette was really good. I just couldn't find a way around that Porsche. I think I was a little faster, but yeah, I got to give him some respect to Andrew Davis. But we had fun out there, and I got to say hi to my mom at home. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to my wife, Dan. I love you.
What do you have left now, right? Obviously, you guys led a lot of this race last year, so this car, this track seemed to have a pretty good dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really difficult to pass. We had a really good stop there, so hopefully it'll shake out, and maybe a few extra laps on new tires, we can get by the 90, get by that Porsche in the pits.
Now, you going back in, or are you just going to sit and watch this one?
It depends on the yellows, how they fall. I hope I get back in. It's a blast out there.
We have gone caution-free for 38 laps now, and there have been a lot of skirmishes. Check this one out. It happened just a few moments ago, and you can see there that Fogarty's got by Donohue, but we rewind half a lap ago. Ricky Taylor, you're right on board with Memo Rojas. Oz Negri in the Shank Ford Riley. Oh, that's too tight.
Wow, that's really tight. Oz has just taken over from John Pugh, so he's just trying to get up to speed, and the leaders are right on top of him.
This has been quite the scramble, quite the fight. Taylor, Rojas, Fogarty, and then Donohue, GT class leader, is in.
Very close as well, because just as they stopped, the 90 came across, cut across the nose, made it clean. Both of them doing driver changes right now, so we've got Edwards out, and watching, yes, Westbrook getting in the number 90 as well. We are down and away, very gentle on the exit, didn't want to clip that tire, and they are done. Look good, the number 90 is underway as well. Two very good stops by two very good teams.
And we've got a new race leader. You may have picked it there. Memo Rojas in the Ganassi BMW leads the way.
This is a fantastic drive by Memo Rojas. I mean, unbelievable. He is in the thick of the battle, got turned around, dropped about 6 or 7 seconds, made that up, and has taken the lead before he hits the pits to turn it over to Scott Pruitt. Brilliant drive by Rojas.
And brilliant coaching by Tim Keane, the team manager, to keep his driver calm, focused, and on task, Dorse.
That was the amazing thing about it. That wreck was hardly over when he started to calm down. Take a look now. Memo Rojas gets on the throttle early, gets inside Ricky right here. And Ricky's not going to do anything. He knows he's there.
Yeah,
and
Ricky's hanging on. He's hanging on his tires. I think they're past their best, Dorsey, and I don't think he has the grip. Rojas recognizes it here through this twisty section.
When you're in the lead car and you see a guy run you down like Rojas did, you know you have nothing for him right now. You just got to play it out. Race isn't over yet.
He roughed him up a little bit, but he just said, time to go, fellas.
This is Paul Tracy on board for his first run at New Jersey Motorsports Park in the Doran Delava. They, you can see there, they're representing Drive for COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. They're raising the awareness and helping research with that. PT looking forward to this run. We'll see him a couple of other times this year as well with Dr. Jim Lowe. So, and we see the car and the driver who led for the majority of this race thus far brings it to pit lane. Ricky Taylor out. Great job. Max the Axe Angelelli climbing aboard, Chris.
Yeah, and Ricky Taylor was saying that this car was a little bit tight in the early goings of this race. Checked in with the team crew chief, Simon Hodgson. He said the car has gotten a bit more neutral, so they didn't think they were going to make any changes on this stop. A little bit tight early in the run, but going neutral later. Also the 5 car in Darren Law getting behind the wheel, taking over for David Donahue. Darren Law had a really bad mountain bike accident earlier this week. He hurt his right wrist, so he's been favoring that a little bit this week. But he's going to have a long run in front of him, see if he can make 2 hours on that hurt wrist. 10 car beats the 5 car out.
It was going to be really tight on fuel. They're not on 2 stops, 55 minutes, not nearly on the board, so it's going to be really, really close for these guys. If they get any yellow, they could do it on just one more stop here today.
Here we go. Andrew Davis gives the GT class lead up to come in and hand over to his defending champion co-driver, Lee Keane. Chris?
Yeah, talking to Hurley Haywood earlier today, he said, boy, this team is just so different than where we were last year. Last year, we were still sorting this season out, sorting the car out. And what they do, they went away and they won the championship. So the position that they're in right now, they're looking so strong for the year. Lee Keane just finishing up, getting behind the wheel, 4 tires of fuel. Greg?
And the number 99 Gainesco Corvette is in. Going to see the driver change here as well. Gurney will be getting on board. And that left front corner, not only did dive plane missing, obviously, a little bit of a wrinkle in it, but at this point, no attempt to go ahead and replace it. So they are just going to do the driver change, and it's down cleaning the grill at this point. And right behind him, the Auto House Camaro is in as well, so very busy here. Really waiting on fuel. Driver change is done. Tires are on. Taking a long time for the fuel top up. Now Gurney is away. Watching the Auto House car, they couldn't get out of the pit because of where the tires were stacked for the 99. Held them up just a little bit, and the APR Audi in as well.
I tell you what though, Greg, one significant thing is Rojas is doing an extra lap on top of these guys at least, so that could be significant in terms of needing that splash at the end of this race. Timmy Keane and the Ganassi boys have really been crunching the fuel numbers. They've got an extra lap out of this 01 car. That could be significant.
Is it an extra lap or is it an extra laps? We'll see. No, he's diving to the inside. Rojas in now. Pruitt standing by. That is a drive that Scott Pruitt will be so proud of Memo Rojas for. That's a Pruitt-like drive.
That was superb.
Everything's done. Remember, we want you to open the door if you can. Hit your marks. No mistakes, guys.
Timmy Keane talking him through it.
Come on over. Come on over. Hit your marks. Ready? Stop.
Well, Memo Rojas had reported that the car was a bit tight during his run. They might make a wicker change at the back of this car, going with a little bit smaller gurney on this wing, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. Otherwise, obviously, they've got an incredibly strong car. Yep, they're going to do this wicker change, going with a little bit shorter gurney at the rear wing. And guys, I was trying to pay attention to the laps that they were doing, and I think they got 2 more laps in than the 10 car and the 5 car. I'm not for sure, but I think they got 2 more laps.
Here comes the 10. Angelelli is streaking down the front stretch. Will Pruitt get out in time? Angelelli's got the momentum.
He does. So obviously on those new tires, Angelelli got the hammer down and gained a little bit of ground on Rojas, who stayed out on the older rubber, but fuel is certainly a significant factor. Look at this, the 99 car takes advantage of Pruitt getting tire temperature there. He goes through to second.
I think we may have said this before. Pruitt versus Gurney versus Angelelli. Does the theme sound familiar? Hold on tight. This is going to be great. Speed's coverage of the Rolex Sports Car Series is presented on Speed by Rolex. A crown for every achievement. Brought to you in part by Continental Tire. Innovative technology, driving confidence. And by the redesigned 8-passenger Honda Pilot. The SUV made better.
There's your P47 Thunderbolt.
There it is. Let's bring you up to speed with what has gone down thus far here at Thunderbolt Raceway, New Jersey Motorsports Park. Ricky Taylor on the pole, but it was Memo Rojas, Cal, who made that dynamic move from the second row.
He did. He had a brilliant move. And look at he and Fogarty getting really tight there, trading bodywork, and they did it again a little bit later in the stint, and Fogarty turns Rojas around. No penalty for this one, and that brought Memo back on the track. A brilliant recovery drive. Look at this. He gets a run in traffic and goes through both Fogarty and David Donahue to assume the second place position.
What a run that was. And Chris Neville, Dorsey, Cal and I were talking in the break as we watch Rojas take the race lead. We've been covering this series in the Daytona prototype era from the very beginning, as have you. We all agree that's the best drive we've ever seen from Rojas.
And I think Memo is also looking pretty proud at that drive, too. He had a big smile when he got out of the car. Right now, the Telmex car sitting in third. But, Memo, you've had a chance to sit and think about that and think about some of the moves you put out there. Great drive, man.
Thanks, Chris. It was a good race. We had, obviously, a good car. It's just really tough to pass in this track, and as expected, traffic played big key. Unfortunately, I got bumped by the 99 car early on, but we were able to get back to track and happy to hand the car in the lead for Scott.
After getting pushed around by the 99, were you surprised you could get the car back to the front that quick?
Well, no, I was surprised he actually hit me because he owed me like 5 from the last few years. But, I mean, anyways, I'm glad we did it the right way. We came back, we passed him clean, and you know, we're back in the lead.
Well, Scott Pruitt right now saying he's not getting any breaks in traffic, but Tim Keane saying, Scott, take your time, don't worry about it, and we've only got one more stop to do. Greg?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the close quarters racing, if you will, with the 99, and of course John Fogarty behind the wheel, and boy, that was some intense goings on in that first stint.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day, Mom. Happy Mother's Day to my wife, Will and Allison. If you could behave for a day, that'd be greatly appreciated. Yeah, it's awesome out there. This is a great Grand Am race. Really tight in the top there.
Just the 99 Gainesco car runs pretty well. It seems to be good over a long run, but man, it's hard to pass here. As you can see, we were all fighting hard for positions down there into turn 1. Memo kind of pushed me over into the gray stuff. I tried to slow it down, but we were all in too deep, and we kind of both came out on the losing end of it. I think it allowed the 5 car to go by, but definitely tight racing out there, and as the run goes on, it just gets wild.
Well, you lost that dive plane early, and then you got the wrinkle now in the left front of the nose. How's the car working?
It's still good. I mean, those small dive planes are a pretty small aerodynamic device, and I think maybe actually taking a little bit off the nose maybe suits Alex driving style a little bit. So it's not a big deal, really. The car seems to be running well.
All right, thanks very much, and we've got a great battle with the lead. Alex all over the number 10.
I've never seen Alex Gurney like he was this morning. He's normally very conservative, a little reserved, and he just looked at me with these piercing eyes and he said, Lee, we can win this thing today. And he is driving like it too.
Boy, he was really putting the pressure there on Angelelli. He was about to lose another dive plane. He is really almost in terms of rubbing him up there, Dorsey, through turn 1 again.
He didn't like the fact that Max went defensive on that. He went one way and the other way. And I think this is about, I don't know what to call it, desperation, but Alex Gurney, like you say, he's got that look in his eye, and I don't think I'd want to mess with him right now.
What this is doing is allowing Pruitt to close in on these two guys. Angelelli's last lap in track was a 20.2, Gurney a 19.7, Pruitt an 18 flat. So he is coming hard, the 01 machine.
You can see that damage on the front of the Bob Stallings machine, the red dragon there. That's just a little ding on the front left of it. That's where Fogarty got into Memo Rojas. But no ill effect so far with the performance from Alex Gurney.
Don't think that'll bother it a bit. That little punch in on the nose there doesn't do anything. Not near as much as losing the 2 little dive planes might have done, but even that doesn't seem to have slowed the Red Dragon very much right now.
What Angelelli has to do, he has to do what Ricky Taylor did for the majority of his stint, is maintain the lead of this race, yet manage those tires. Right towards the end, last few laps, Ricky's grip was going away. Angelelli has to think about that as well. Think about the big picture as well as the track position.
Chris Neville brought up a great point earlier. Maybe they're doing this one for 5-time NASCAR Sprint Cup champion Jimmy Johnson, who's part of the Gainesco Bob Stallings family. He's driven with Alex and John, and of course got Rick Hendrick his 200th Cup win last night in Darlington. Maybe they're driving for 5-time.
Oh, look at this. This is really tight
boys.
here. Here he is.
Steady boys.
Here is Pruitt all over the back of Gurney now. This is going to be intense.
How do you pick your way through the traffic? You've got to be decisive. You can't hang around. You can't have a second thought.
And remember, passing these GT cars offline when need be is a tough thing to do because this is a 1-lane racetrack. The outside of the racetrack's got a lot of rubber. You've seen it in the grills on the pit stops.
Nobody can tell us how to get it done here better than today. Ricky Taylor, he's led the most laps. Here he is.
Yeah, also coming off that win at Homestead. And Ricky, are you thinking that these guys, the Gainesco car, the Ganassi car, they're being more aggressive today, or is it this GT traffic that's kind of tripping everybody up?
Yeah, I think you got it. I think here today in New Jersey, the GT cars are about 2.5 seconds quicker than they were last year. We're about the same pace as last year. So I think if you get held up by a GT car, you know, it's a bit, you have to be a bit more aggressive to make that pass. And the rewards are quite big, so people are, you know, sticking their nose in places where it's quite risky. So I think we'll see a bit more bumping and banging here today.
You guys have the car to win, or is it Gainesco and Ganassi today?
I think they're pretty strong today, but we have the track position. I think that's going to be pretty important.
Hey, I talked about the rumor of Mazda this weekend. Also, other rumors this weekend talking about Ricky Taylor and Childress. Some interesting stuff going on there, guys.
Richard is a big fan of what Ricky can do in a race car. And this ties in beautifully to one of our what to watch for storylines at the top of the show. Is this the time where the big three are going to flex their muscle? It certainly looks like it. SunTrust, Gainesco and Ganassi, 1, 2, and 3. Almost 50 laps in the books here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. What a race it's been. If you like what you've seen so far in today's Rolex Series race, a reminder about the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. It ran yesterday here in Jersey. You'll see it on speed next Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Ooh, that was a bit worrying. Yeah. Derek Whitehouse was in the mix, certainly, and that was a very entertaining race. Welcome back, folks. We're live. Grand Am on speed. Lee Diffie, Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader, Chris Neville, and Greg Creamer. Greg, who you got?
Well, I have John Edwards, and first of all, John, welcome back. Secondly, great run in qualifying. Obviously, the Camaro, in terms of speed, is hooked up.
Absolutely. You know, we got pulled by half a second and looked to be set up well for the race. But obviously the Camaro can do it in one lap, you know, really blast out a fast lap. But during the race, we seem to lose a little to the Mazdas on stent performance. So, you know, even from the very beginning, Sylvain was able to keep pace. I was a little too cautious in turn 1, so he took the lead. And immediately he was able to keep pace despite being half a second off in qualifying. So Camaro does have a strength in that one lap speed, but we need to look after our tires today if we're going to end up on the podium.
At the end of your stint, how was it? How were the tires? How was the grip?
Well, it's about what we expected. We seemed to lose a little to the 70 car. We're sliding a bit more, and even when I saw Sylvain sliding, he didn't seem to lose quite as much because our car being so heavy takes a while to grip back up. But you know, it's not as bad as last year. The weather's been nicer to us this year, being about 25 or 30 degrees cooler. So we'll see. We've got a chance today, but the Mazdas are definitely stronger at the end of its stint. So we're hoping for a late race caution, maybe to get some fresh rubber at the end.
Does the Camaro like the new GTR tire?
Well, Camaro's a lot harder on the tire than the Mazdas are. So, you know, we would like a little better stint performance, even if we do have to sacrifice that half second in qualifying.
All right, absolutely. Got to get it done during the race, John. Nice job. Congratulations.
There's a 12-second deficit for Robin Liddell to Jonathan Bomarito in that lead Mazda. So that's a big gap to make up, but still the 57 Stevenson Camaro running well. Eric Curran in the Marsh Racing Corvette is third in class, and then Lee Keane and Dane Cameron top 5. How close do you like it up front here, though? Max Angelelli, Alex Gurney, Scott Pruitt. The big names, the big teams, the big cars going at it here in New Jersey.
Remember that wicker change on the rear wing for Scott Pruitt. He can handle a slightly looser car than Memo Rojas in general, but what it's going to do, Dorsey, is give him a little bit more straightaway speed as well, which is really good news in terms of this battle right now.
Watch on board here as we go around this racetrack and just take a note of how long these corners actually are as far as when you enter to when you get off.
Remember that BMW power plant got 100 RPM added to its rev range at the last round. Didn't really factor in the wet at home sped, but certainly here, getting back towards what they want. They still feel a little bit shy of their dominance that they had a couple of years ago. The rest of the paddock doesn't feel that way, of course. Great part of the racetrack through here, running 3rd and 4th gear through 7, 8, and 9. Carefully is on that throttle application.
It took him 3 complete tries at that before he was happy with going to full throttle in the middle of one corner. Just touched the rev limiter there in top gear. So obviously the 0-1 is right at its limit.
It's the fastest part of the racetrack, about 166 miles an hour down towards turn 1.
Remember, these guys are now at a 7-race streak of not standing on top of the podium. The SunTrust car has been on the podium here at New Jersey every single year for the past 4. They're yet to win at New Jersey. So there's plenty going on, and this car we're riding aboard is leading the championship without being victorious in the 2012 racing season. Likewise for Action Express, the guys like Darren Law and David Donahue are also looking for a win.
Well, David Donahue had a great opening stint, keeping the car right up front. Right now, his teammate in 4th place. But David, I heard you on the radio saying the car that was a little bit tight, and then you were having a hard time putting the power coming off, down off. Did you make any changes on that last pit stop?
Yeah, it's something I've been fighting all weekend. Is a lot of push right from the turning point. As soon as I tip into the throttle, it'll go a little bit loose. But traction was a big issue coming out of turn 10, and coming out of a bunch of the slow stuff, turn 5. So I messed with the bars and stuff. It's about as good as we can do right now, but it's surprising how well it stayed consistent, relatively speaking, and usually this place is notorious for being hard on tires, and the Continental tires have been able to hold up through this abuse, because I tell you, it's a lot of work out there. You'll see the guys getting out, they're probably going to be falling all over the place.
Well, David was telling me earlier that he's very happy with the team, the engineering that they've been doing, but they just need to work a little bit on strategy and communication. Greg?
Well, standing by with the team that's chasing him right now, sitting in 5th, Mike Shank Racing. And Mike, obviously, you guys are in a battle out there. One of the big stories here, even without having a lot of cars on the track because of the increased pace of the GT cars, traffic is still being a huge issue, isn't it?
Traffic and tire, where our tire's not very durable in these conditions sometimes, so we degrade a lot, but everybody does. So it's real happy how John Pugh drove the first stint. Very happy for a minute. Oz is doing a great job. We need a yellow, though. We need to get the pack back together, and then we can go racing. We'd have some Martinsville short track racing, I'm pretty sure.
All right, thanks very much. Congratulations.
It is the team, it's the driver that won the inaugural race here at New Jersey Motorsports Park in 2008. There he is in the familiar 60, Oz Negri, and his then teammate and co-driver, Mark Patterson. Got the first win at Thunderbolt Raceway in spectacular style. Oz would love to experience that again like he did at the Rolex 24 at Daytona earlier this year. They've got a bit of catching up to do.
Just picked up on something during the pit stops when we were talking to David Donahue right then when Greg Creamer was. A lot of wind, guys. We've just picked up a substantial wind, and it's a tailwind down this front straightaway. Might be the reason why we heard the rev limiter on Scott Pruitt's car right there, because he's getting pushed down that straight pretty hard.
Plus that and the smaller rear gurney, he's got less drag going down that front. Oh, that's tight there. GT traffic. Is that the Auto House?
Yeah.
Auto House Camaro taking the 99 car for a bit of a ride there.
Boy, and they're lucky the front didn't dig in. We've seen that in the past, too, with these splitters digging into the grass, and just catastrophic results when that happens.
Jordan Taylor may be doing his dad's team a little bit of a favor there. Jordan behind the wheel of the 88 right now. I'm sure it was unintentional, but a little bit of family business going on here today, and we certainly want to wish Shelley Taylor a happy Mother's Day.
There you go.
To the two boys who have been doing a brilliant job over the last couple of years here in Grand Am Racing.
Let's take another look at that, at what went down with Jordan Taylor and Alex Gurney, and Scott Pruitt got a front row seat to that as well. He was having to dance on his toes a little.
Again, it shows you how tight this is. You have to leave yourself a place to go. There was barely a place to go.
For the GT traffic, they can't afford just to sit out there in no man's land. They got to try and thread their way back in, and I think Gurney had certainly already committed to going through as well, but no room.
Behind this lead trio, Darren Law, Oz Negri, Ryan Dial for Starworks, Richard Westbrook, Lucas Lure, Paul Tracy, and Jonathan Bomarito. The top GT car is in the top 10. All-Star Week hits high gear this week. The world's toughest truckers, you know who they are, the competitors in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, hit Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's at Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. It's live on Speed, and it's presented by DirecTV. Hey guys, speaking of DirecTV, Speed 2 is now available to DirecTV and Verizon Fios TV customers. Gone up to a distribution number of about 35 million. So for those of you who want to watch your motorsport live, there's World Rally, there's MotoGP qualifying, there's the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series. It's really good stuff.
It really is, and if your cable provider is one on that list, essentially what you get is an access code to then go on the internet and get the broadband coverage on Speed 2. Some great racing action. I was over in Germany last week with the DTM series. That's shown on there. That is some superb racing action. You don't want to miss it.
Some important numbers, Dorsey, to look at. It is the Continental Tire race recap at the moment, and one of the zeros on there is cautions.
Yeah, and that's pretty amazing. I wouldn't have thought, particularly as hard as these guys are driving, that we had been caution-free at this point, but it has been that way. Of course, Calvin, cautions could play out as far as strategies.
Well, very much so. When we talk about fuel, when we think about when these guys stopped, it was lap 40 for Angelelli and Taylor, lap 41 for Gurney and Fogarty, and lap 42 for Pruitt and Rojas. So there's a big difference there. You're right down to the wire. The 01 team have been telling Chris Neville down in the pits that they think they are good for just one more stop. The 99 car telling Greg Creamer they're sketchy. The 10 car saying we're okay, but I tell you what, if they're 2 laps shy of the 01 on their first stint, they're going to have to really work some magic on the fuel here in this couple of stints here to go.
Top 3 whipped by the 94 Turner Motorsport BMW, and we should give a shout out there to Billy Johnson, who's behind the wheel, and Paul Dall'Alana, who had a huge accident earlier this week in his Continental BMW and has recovered okay. What's going on here with the APR R8? This may bring out our first full course caution.
Yeah, he's trying to pop start it right there. You can see it chunking along, but it's not going to get going, and he's going to be off on a bad place on the exit of a corner.
Dion von Moltke is behind the wheel. We only had 2 cautions for a period of 8 laps last year. We're running way less than that at the moment. It's been caution-free for these guys to enjoy a free-flowing run. How about the 8? Peter Barron's Starworks car. Ryan Dial has dragged it up by its shoelaces into 6th place. What does the team boss think, Greg?
Well, let's find out. Obviously, a bit of a challenge here. You got the 2 cars. You had one of them. You didn't have drivers until today, and they're sitting in 8th, but Ryan doing his usual stellar job. How are the cars working?
It's pretty hot out there, but first I got to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and it's kind of unfair to them that we're off work and they're all stuck at home with the kids. Hope the wife at home is doing good. But Ryan, he's out there. We fell about 45 seconds behind. I think he's about 18. He's digging. We have the Pro-Am tires out there, so we get an extra 2 sets where we try and save them for this, and it really pays off for the teams like us when it's a long green run. You'll start to see now the leaders dropping off 20, 21 seconds laps, and we're holding in at like 18. We'll bid for tires sooner for them and catch up. So hopefully, if it stays green, we're looking good. If it stays, if we get a yellow out there, it's a crapshoot on who gets tires and who doesn't.
And Ryan had said earlier that without the dive planes, you're still struggling with a little bit of downforce issues. Have you found a way around that?
This is one of those things. Grand Am is really awesome at equalizing everything, but this is only our 4th race with all these new cars. They know there's some work to be done. They know that the Corvettes have an advantage with downforce, and we have faith in them. They're going to get it right. We still look at it. The Corvette teams have been making mistakes, and as long as we're out there collecting points, hopefully we see something for Detroit. We're sitting duck at Detroit if we don't get any perks there, but we need to collect points here. Think championship. We're only 2 points out of the leading championship, and if we get some dive planes and a splitter extension for Mid-Ohio, things should be looking good.
All right, good luck. Have a great run. Chris?
Well, it's typically Patrick Dempsey and Joe Foster in the visitflorida.com Mazda, but this weekend it's Tom Long and Scott Maxwell because Patrick and Joe were racing on the West Coast yesterday, but big problems right now for this Mazda. Been sitting in pit lane for about 5 minutes now. Broken shifter, so the team trying to get that fixed, getting them back out on the racetrack. Also another Mazda out there doing well this weekend, the 42. Dane Cameron behind the wheel of that Salen's car right now. Just checked in with Katie Crawford, the engineer on that team. She said the car is working very well. However, their biggest concern is their fuel number, and it's also the fuel number on the 70 Mazda. They aren't getting the mileage that the other GT cars are getting. They're thinking that they're going to have to do 2 stops, and that second stop about 10 minutes shorter than the other GT traffic. So when they come in for that final stop, they're going to have to take a bit more fuel.
Yeah, and that'll be significant, losing a few more extra seconds on pit lane, topping them up with fuel. But I think this fuel strategy is going to be big here. We haven't seen a caution fly for the 51 car that's stranded out on the racetrack. So green flag continues, Dorsey. And meanwhile, look at this. Pruitt is really putting the pressure on. He's got around Alex Gunn. He's now running in 2nd.
That lack of cautions might be the only thing that can unravel the Mazda stronghold on this racetrack, having won the last 2 in a row. It's the fastest car, no doubt about it, around here, but fuel mileage might play against them.
And are you saying to yourself, hang on a minute, Pruitt's in 2nd? Yes, you are correct. He's chasing Angelelli. How did he get by? We're about to show you. It was a pretty nifty move by the multi-time Daytona prototype champion. Here it is. Look for that blue and white BMW Riley left of screen. Goes around. Oh, there was contact there. Something flew from the back of the Red Dragon.
Yeah, that was hairy stuff. There's a really fast part of the racetrack, but Pruitt is now lost, or is this? This is a replay of the move. Look at that. Gurney was going for the lead. That slowed him up a little bit and allowed Pruitt to have the run.
That side-to-side rub, that's what did it, Calvin. They had to lift off the throttle, allowing Pruitt to make the pounce.
Tell us more, Chris.
Well, listen to Tim Keen on the radio as Pruitt got around the 99. Tim Keen telling Scott Pruitt, hey, go to fuel position 1. We are good on our fuel number. Don't conserve anymore. Go after that 10 car.
Wow, the fuel position 1, that means full power, boys.
Attack.
Give her all she's got, attack mode.
And I tell you what, they are getting much better fuel mileage than they anticipated this morning. Timmy King said we need 8 laps of caution to do on 2 stops. Now they're getting it under green flag conditions. This is quite an amazing turnaround.
Green flag running for all 65 laps here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. We typically do not see this in Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series competition. In GT, Bomarito is dominating, 15 seconds out in front. p.m. Pacific. Hope you can watch it. Gurney has eaten into the margin of Pruitt there a little bit. The Red Dragon eases up on the back of the top two. Max Angelelli, Scott Pruitt, Alex Gurney, 1, 2, 3, as simple as that. There's about a 5-second gap back to the 4th place Darren Law for Action Express, and then Mike Shank Racing's Oz Negri. That's how your top 5 run at the moment.
And don't forget, we're still talking about this fuel strategy with the 10 car. That was the first of these 3 cars to stop, and he's been running out front. He's not really gaining anything in terms of running behind the car. You know, that really helps with your fuel mileage as well. So these guys are going to be up against the wall here if we see 0 cautions here today.
Yeah, the 10 breaking the way as far as leading the way, and everybody behind him running a draft. As saw before, a little evidence of that on Scott Pruitt's grill. You see a lot of rubber as he's been right up underneath the back of both of these cars. Of course, now he's in second, and you can see on the front of it, some of it's fallen off. That rubber is pretty heavy, so it will drop off.
Pruitt's really good through this section. I think the 10 car struggles a little bit in comparison to both the 01 and the 99 right in here. So Ricky Taylor get taken advantage of by Rojas. We saw Gurney have a little go at Angelelli here a couple of laps ago. So this seems to be the section where they may have a weakness.
Remember that last year Scott Pruitt just got caught out a little bit by Ricky Taylor, and Pruitt uncharacteristically ran into the back of Taylor and turned him round. You don't normally see that from Pruitt. He's being nice and smooth and careful here as he has to attack and defend at the same time. What about in GT? Bomarito still leads Robin Liddell, and Lee Keane in the Brumos Porsche is up to 3rd. And Chris Neville last year with these guys en route to winning the championship, this track here was their worst out of any of them. They're in good shape today though.
Yeah, they are looking strong today, and one thing that's new for all the GT teams, a new tire, and a lot of good feedback this weekend, Andrew, about this new tire. But how's everything working out for the Brumos crew?
Well, the first few laps, the car feels really good, and we've got good grip. And that showed up in qualifying as well. But there's a pretty big fall off. We were struggling all week trying to find that balance and how to make the tire work. We had a lot of success in testing earlier on last year, but haven't quite found it here with the grip, the low grips of New Jersey Motorsports Park. So at times out there, I was actually hoping I had some of that grip that I had in Homestead, believe it or not, because that rain tire was working pretty well. But we're still trying to find the maximum of this tire.
During that last pit stop round, we saw the Mazdas come in first. You were one of the last cars to come in about 4 or 5 laps later. Are you guys on a 2-stop strategy from here? Can you do it with 1 more?
Well, we're trying. We may be able to do a 1 more, which would be a big stretch. But what I found, because I was fighting rear grip, I was just being very easy with traction off of the corners and being very slow with throttle application. So we may be able to save. So Lee's on the same strategy. We'll see what happens.
Dane Cameron there in the 42 machine. He had a podium finish here last year with Dempsey Racing, and he's really filled the shoes of John Edwards. When John Edwards left the Salins team to move over to the GM camp and Stevenson Racing, essentially opened the door for Dane Cameron. He's created a really good relationship with his teammate Wayne Nonamaker, and Katie Crawford, of course, is doing a great job engineering this car. And the Mazdas are looking strong here again, Dorse.
If anything, like we talked about before, that was going to be the downfall of the Mazda, it's going to be the fuel mileage. Of course, still no caution. We run caution free, but without a caution, they might end up short.
This 88 car coming. Jordan Taylor, what a recovery drive he has. He was buried in the pack there, and he has eaten into the gap here between these 3rd and 4th place cars. He's looking strong, Greg.
He's looking very strong, and the team is very happy with what's unfolding. One, they really like this new GTR tire. They said that they've been able to find sort of a sweet spot in the setup to what they're doing, and right now he is taking a heck of a run right down the front straight. Very aggressive defense by the Mazda, and tucks back in. But the one thing, they're trying to be racy, but at the same time they're trying to conserve a little bit of fuel so they can do this in 1 more stop. That's a tough chore to race like that and be conservative.
Well, we've often said about Jordan Taylor, this kid is quick, this kid's running well, this kid's one to be reckoned with. Maybe we shouldn't call him a kid anymore, because on Thursday he turned 21.
I'd like to wish my gorgeous wife, my mom, and all the wonderful mothers around the world happy Mother's Day from New Jersey.
Hey Mom, happy Mother's Day. Glad you can make it out. Love you.
Happy Mother's Day to all those mothers out there. You're awesome.
Just want to say a very happy Mother's Day to my mom and my wife watching the race back at home.
Hey Mom, I know you're watching. Happy Mother's Day. I love you a lot.
I'm real fortunate this Mother's Day to have my mom at the track with me. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, especially mine.
We were going to show you a funny birthday piece about Jordan Taylor. Hey, but that's a sincere message as well for all the moms.
You got to have the mom before the birthday.
Here's what we were going to show you.
Jordan, I heard it's your birthday, and I'm a huge fan of yours. You'll do great if you try to escape. It's too late. You're the star here and now. Happy birthday, Jordan. The joke's on you from the Auto House crew.
Thank you. Gee, looked thrilled with that, didn't he?
Do you see Max Angelelli in the background? I think he thought something bad might happen. He
was waiting for the next stage of that, I think.
Anyway, switching back to the business at hand, it's serious stuff here, no joking around. Taylor is all over Dane Cameron. Cameron's all over Keane. This is the fight for the final step on the podium, and we've still got over an hour of racing left.
Yeah, and we're here in the lead of the 70 car, maybe coming in the pits here shortly, and this 88 car stopped 5 laps later than the 70 machine, so big fuel strategy playing out here in the GT ranks as well.
This is good. This is good hard racing. Here he is, diving to the inside.
Well, one thing's for sure, Lee, if we don't see any caution, they're going to be seeing pit lane once again, even after this stop with an hour and 7 on the board.
Remember the storyline for these guys, Jonathan Bomarito, Sylvain Tremblay going for 3. They've won the last 2 years in a row.
Have no choice now, do they? I mean, they're committed.
Yeah, Dorsey, they've laid their cards on the table now with this strategy, and last year that win did not come easy. The team right now pouring some water down Jonathan Bomarito's back. Last year he started in the car in a screaming hot day. He had to go to medical after his first stint. He got an IV, then he got back behind the wheel to finish out the day and get the win. It didn't look like a day that he was going to be able to do that, but Jonathan Bomarito really pulled it off. Already tires done, just waiting for fuel. They've got to make sure they get every bit of fuel in this car because it's going to have to come back to pit lane again.
Turn on the fuel pump.
There's a drama.
There's a problem here, guys. They can't get the car going. They were really out of fuel when they came into pit lane, so right now trying to bump start this car.
Yeah, initially they thought it was fuel pump, Dorsey, but I don't think he's got any starter motor working for him.
Everything's on.
It's the voice of David Haskell, who calls strategy and is the engineer on the team.
This is heartbreak. No fire under the hood.
Got nothing?
Remember, in this form of racing, you do not have to turn the engine off
Put the pump out
on these pit stops, so he shouldn't have killed the engine to begin with. Didn't see him stall it or anything, but here's the traffic up front. Look at the 99 car putting pressure on Pruitt.
Angelelli slips through the inside of the 5th place, Jordan Taylor. Pruitt pushing hard. Gurney's got him inside. Here comes Pruitt. Pruitt's trying to go around the outside of Max Angelelli. Side by side, the rivals.
They were really working the 42 cars, what they were doing. Pruitt trying to do the same thing that we've seen earlier. Trying to pull the split and use that 42 Mazda as a pick.
And look who's arrived on the scene. Darren Law is there. That Action Express Corvette is not done with yet. Look at the red, white, and blue machine.
Yeah, the car was quick when it rolled off the trailer this weekend, the 5 and the 9, and they're going to be a factor here as they close in on the 99.
They got a podium at Homestead in the wet, but it wasn't the way they wanted it. They want to race to the podium. They want to race to a win. They feel they've got a chance today. And this is Speed Sources dramas a year ago. Jonathan Bomarito on the brink of physical exhaustion. He was able to hang on, he and Sylvain Tremblay, though, to get that victory, their 2nd in a row here at Thunderbolt Raceway, New Jersey Motorsports Park. It's not going to happen today, though. Some fuel pickup, fuel pressure problem, something stopped that car from refiring, and they went down a lap.
There you see the GT career stats for both those boys. Very, very impressive. But Chris Neville, what did you hear about the 70 with that problem on the pit stop?
Well, the issue was Jonathan Bomarito shut that car down because Sylvain Tremblay said that they were worried that it could overheat during the pit stop. So when he went to refire it, the battery was dead. They thought they just needed to push start it, but since there was no battery juice, they had to run a jump battery down to get it refired. Now they're out there again, but I think they're over a lap down.
Wow, costly mistake made there.
Greg, things looking good so far at Stevenson.
Well, they are. They come in, obviously, now as the leader, but this seems to be a relatively early stop. Cal, you mentioned during the break that this would match their first stint time, so maybe they're just at their limit and obviously trying to keep these tires underneath this heavy, powerful car. Oh, now a bit of a delay. Part of this may have been a fluid issue, and for the driver, because Mike Johnson just ran out 2 bottles of water with straws, stuck them through the window, so it just is possible.
Long run for these guys to make it to the finish.
While we're in the break, check this out. Gurney gives Pruitt a little nudge. He says, hey, I'm ready to come because I don't want to see Darren Law anymore in my rearview mirror. Got a great run off the last turn, Dorse, and...
Yeah, he did the job, all right. He gave him a shot, said, I'm coming by, you better be ready for me, and he just did it as clean as can be. Right down into turn 1, gets a big run going. See him right there. Scott's smart. He's not gonna press this issue. A lot of race left.
Scott had to be careful there. If he defended too hard, he was going to open the door for Darren as well.
While we're watching those pit stops, check this out. Riding with Pruitt, and Gurney got taily and ran off track.
Yeah, that was just a little slip by Alex there. I don't think he was bumped by the 01 car. He just got out a little bit wide.
Yeah, he did. Just got out off wide. You can see how rough it is on the outside there.
That will pack the radiator, and maybe he got some aero damage as well.
It's a good save, actually, by Alex.
Watch the 5 of Darren Law. Round it goes.
That looked like just over rotation, Calvin, like he got in a little bit too much pinch to the inside and rotated.
Yeah, he just tried to squeeze on that power a little bit early to get a run on Pruitt, but just overdid it a little bit. Very rare mistake from Darren Law. Could have been some dirt on the racetrack there, but a mistake nonetheless, and he gets turned around and loses valuable time.
Has been one of the feedback points, though, Dorsey, from the drivers, particularly at Action Express. All 5 drivers comparing the Generation 2 to Generation 3 cars. It is a lot more nervous in that rear end, and they said, we haven't spun a car like that in a long time, and we're just having to be very careful. Well, Pruitt's not, as he says to Max, hey, I'm back.
Now, Pruitt does the same thing. He says, I'm also right here.
But look at this. Gurney's car still seems strong. Came through that corner, lost a little bit of ground. That could have just been the aero wash from the car in front of you.
Looking at Paul Tracy on the left in the Doran DeLau.
You know, for Pruitt, that might be telling Max, I can't have Gurney doing this to me like he did before. He got by me once. I'm going to have to get by you if you don't just pick it up.
Make this time check. 58 minutes to go. Darren Law lost 10 seconds on this lead trio. We'll see if he can get it back.
Well, significantly, I think if you can get to the 55 minutes to go number, that'll put you good to go the rest of the way. That radio communication we were here was Timmy Keane just talking Pruitt through this. He'll be telling him about the fuel mileage numbers. He'll be telling him when the Angelelli car pitted last and giving him everything. That's what the driver wants to know, Dorsey. Put me in the picture. Tell me what's going on.
No doubt about that, because right now Pruitt's hands are full. He's trying to gauge himself to Max Angelelli in front of him, but he's got Gurney breathing all over the back end of him. So he's got to look out the front, look out the back, and he's also got to listen to what Timmy Keane says is the big picture.
This car in front, the SunTrust Corvette, won last time out in the rain-shortened race at Homestead. The car in second, 01, is the new championship leader, and the car in third, the red 99 Gainsco machine, has to win here. They are overdue. They have to come back. That non-finish at Homestead cost them dearly in the championship points.
Look at this. Pruitt really working him over. I think they lose a little bit of grip coming through that, and here comes Gurney again. He gets the run on Pruitt down to the inside for turn 1. Identical move.
Same scenario. Gave him the tap up front and said, I'm going to come up here.
I get off the track.
Pruitt is communicating to his team. Dramas. The car is not compliant to his satisfaction.
He's talking about getting pushed coming underneath that fast corner underneath the bridge. It's probably because he's tucked up underneath Max. He's losing aero downforce to the nose.
Well, that's the key. The 01 seems to be affected by the aero wash, yet the 99 is not.
Correct. Yeah, that's what he's talking about right there. He's saying, I'm getting up underneath the back of the 10. I'm losing my front end. And, of course, Gurney's car is not having that problem.
New GT leader is Lee Keane, the defending series champion. He's being hunted down by the 88 of Jordan Taylor. Now, Lee has inherited the race lead, courtesy of the problems with the 70 and the stop by the 57. The 59 was in third. Taylor has made up some good ground, and so too has Jeff Siegel. This is the championship leading FXDD Ferrari of Emil Asentado and the man behind the wheel. Look at this. Pruitt's fighting back. He doesn't like hang around in third, and that's exactly the same position position where he hit Ricky Taylor.
Left rear corner may be damaged on Pruitt.
Come on, we got to get the pits now.
Caught him at the critical point in the suspension, Dorsey. Don't be surprised to see damage on the left rear corner of Scott Pruitt.
Okay, Gurney's going. Pruitt's going to be trouble. Yeah, look at the wheel. The wheel is completely bent.
2 out.
That's over with for that car.
Clipped him at the worst possible point on that suspension. You could tell it right at that point. That's a critical part right there.
First full course caution. First yellow after 81 laps. The big boys banged hard.
And this is going to mean that everyone, when they make this final stop, should be good to go now. This was the critical point, about 55 minutes for GT and DP as Gurney hits the pit box. Perfect timing.
Yeah, that car came in and it was crabbing all the way in, so you're absolutely right. Damage looks to be pretty significant, and it just was not tracking right coming in, so they're going after the tires and fuel. But I don't know, it's going to be amazing if this thing gets out that fast the way that it came down into pit lane. Let's get back up.
Looks like left rear might be bent, Cal.
Was critical, though. Under full caution, the pit lane is closed. It'll be interesting to see if Alex made it into the pit lane before we got the full caution. Here we see the battle here through 9 and 10.
Pruitt around the outside. Now they get contact. That's going to spin.
Watch this, right there.
Oh, man, right on the wheel, too.
I think him in the door or anywhere else, but hit him right in that corner of the suspension.
I think Scott thought that he once he realized he wasn't going to make it on the low side of Alex, he gassed it up and tried to go around the high side.
But here's the death blow,
and that's where he got caught there. And ironically, a year later, that's exactly the same position on the track where he contacted Ricky Taylor in 2011. Would you have thought this would have gone down?
I think this is the point where he had that flat tire 2 years ago that cost him the win right in this area of the racetrack.
Perhaps one of the reasons why we've never had a repeat winner in Daytona prototypes here. Is it all going SunTrust's way? We'll find out. Less than an hour to play. Going on here in New Jersey, because while we're under yellow, people are diving for pit road, including the race-leading number 10 SunTrust Corvette. This is a huge break for these guys.
Well, it is, because they were going to need to be coming in, and the bigger break is the big picture in terms of the 99 car and the 01 being her. But in terms of their fuel strategy, they'll be able to top up now, go the rest of the way. But there's some other guys on pit lane who may be a little bit faster. We have to see how this plays out. These guys basically need a full fuel load, and I think they might have got leaped a little bit. Delay there for Max to get back underway. Pretty sure I saw the 8 car get out pretty quickly. I have to wait and see.
Kind of hate to say the big picture for the 99 boys does not look
Championship-wise, Dorse, you're correct. Not
horrible.
Good at all. However, there are some teams in this race who haven't been in this exciting lead picture who are saying, thank goodness. We heard Mike Shank, the Rolex 24 at Daytona team winning owner, saying that we need a caution. We've got one. All of a sudden, Oz Negri is up in the top 4. Ryan Dial's up in the top 3. Darren Law's up in the top 2. And unfortunately, that's a very wounded Red Dragon.
The key is going to be here. I'm not sure if Dial or Negri have the ultimate pace. They've been about half a second off. But someone who will be back in the mix is Richard Westbrook. Remember, they've had a very quiet day. Valenti got bogged down in that traffic on his opening stint, starting at the back of the pack. But Westbrook has been running mid-17s, which is the pace of the quick guys today. So he could be a factor here in this last 45 minutes of this race.
When we went to the break, you saw this car dive to pit road. It went back out and came back in. It was severely crabbing to the left. Damage on the rear left doors as we see the team members go to work.
Yeah, we saw that when it was sitting in front. They tried to just put tires on it and so forth, but the left rear suspension was definitely towed out a lot. They had to bring it back in, and so the day done for both the 01 and the 99. Here's how it happened.
Riding with Scott Pruitt. That's Alex Gurney in the red car. Bang, there's the first contact, and it was pretty heavy.
Spun him around, and Alex just rolls back. Pruitt thought he was going to clear him. I mean, if Alex had stayed on the brakes there, I mean, not his fault in no way, but if he'd just stayed on the brakes more, car may have stayed stationary and just rolling back there.
Actually, he was on the brakes, looking at it from that
angle. Yeah, he was in the dust there, yeah.
You just couldn't stop him. He was on the dirty part. Watch the rear wheels. He'll lock up once it gets spun right here. You see the tires stop moving. He did roll back a little bit, but
that's the same point in the racetrack, Dorsey, where Rojas put the move on Ricky Taylor, remember? Diving down the inside and banging him a little bit.
And here's Pruitt knowing his day's done. He's going to come out, take one look, and know it's over with.
Between those two drivers are 6 Daytona Prototype Championships. You don't often see kind of clumsy situations like that, and it's going to have massive championship implications. What are the thoughts of the team owner, the team principal at Gainesco? Here's Bob Stallings.
Yeah, obviously a tough day, Bob. Contact out there, car's still sitting here. Looks like some pretty severe damage to the back.
Yeah, well, yeah, very unfortunate because the 99 and the 01 are the 2 fastest cars on the track and have been all day. The history between the 2 cars has the tendency to make people a little over anxious, and I think that's kind of what happened. The rear has a problem, but we also had a little bit of problem on the left rear front, which we're trying to get fixed right now. So we're getting ready to go back out.
All right, so the crew doing the job. They get the car back out. Obviously have lost an immense amount of time. Chris?
Well, that contact could have happened at a worse time. I was just checking in with Tim Keene on the 01. He said, hey, we're getting ready to come into pit lane, but Scott doesn't know. I don't want it to go over the radio. So he was watching our broadcast, waiting until Scott was getting to the last couple corners of the racetrack, and then he was going to pull Scott in. So just a couple corners short, that's when the contact happened. So just could have happened at a worse time. He looked at me and said, hey, we're broke, we're done.
Wow, just very unusual scenes, and the checkered history continues between Ganassi and Gainesco. That's why they are arch rivals, and it's a big win for the likes of Starworks, for the likes of SunTrust and Action Express. And there he is. We called it earlier. Watch out for Ryan Dial, and that Starworks Ford, the number 8, is now on top. See you in a moment. You join us just seconds after the restart with Ryan Dial in the Starworks Ford leading the way. It's another Ford-powered Riley in second with Oz Negri Jr. These were the 2 cars, drivers and teams going at it at the Rolex 24 at Daytona for those magical Rolex wristwatches. And it was that car there that won the big one at the beginning of this Grand Am season. Third is Max Angelelli. Darren Law had to fend off a very determined Richard Westbrook for Spirit of Daytona Racing. Westy pitted just before that caution, got the wave around, and he's now in the mix.
He is. Those 3 Corvettes are going to chase down these 2 Ford-powered cars. They got a bit more downforce, as Peter Barron suggested, with this Corvette bodywork. That really pays dividends around this racetrack, Dorsey.
Richard Westbrook got tapped by Alex Popov. Oh, and speaking of that, it was the same result. As a matter of fact, Westy did a great save.
But watch behind him. I think Darren Law will have a bit of a run on these guys, because those guys were duking it out there a little bit. Here comes Westbrook in the 90 machine. Never been here before. He said it's not the easiest place to learn. He's got a great run on Darren Law.
There is no keeping that Action Express car down. There's the other Corvette Daytona prototype for Spirit of Daytona. Richard Westbrook has a look on the inside. He appears to be the quicker of the 2, but Law just keeps coming back every time he gets pushed down.
Yeah, Darren went really deep on the brakes, took a shallow entry, got a little bit of understeer. Westy got a much better run off the corner, but right there, Darren pulls out a little bit, so Westbrook didn't get a good run through that corner, but Angelelli has got to be patient here. He's got a much faster race car than Oz Negri and Dial to this point in the race, about half a second clear on their fastest laps, but got to be careful.
Watch getting offline right now, too. Take a look at the racetrack. Really now starting to show the signs that we're used to around here. A lot of rubber, a lot of debris offline.
Don't be surprised if you see contact between this blue and white Daytona prototype and the orange and white one. 2 spirited drivers, the Brazilian in Oz Negri, the Italian in Max Angelelli. Both fight as hard as they can for every inch of road.
Yeah, 2 of the hardest drivers in the TDP ranks here, Oz Negri and Max Angelelli. I mean, Negri is a very good friend of the Taylor family, but that doesn't mean anything when you're in this scenario. You fight for every point, every position on the racetrack.
Let's watch this front straight drag down into 1 and watch 4th and 5th, Law and Westbrook. Let's not forget about Alex Popov at the back of this battle either in that second Starworks car. There he is, remarkable drive from almost last in the field. He came right up almost on into the top 5.
That was fantastic. I mean, oh, look at that!
Law got loose.
Dropped the wheel there on turn in. Dropped the wheel there as he was about to turn in and caught it nicely. He'll take this little escape route. No harm, no foul, Dorsey. He didn't gain anything, so there'll be no penalty for that one. He loses a couple of spots.
Great reaction. Knew what to do, Calvin, when he got in trouble right there. He knew that road was there that he could take. And as long as he doesn't advance his position, no penalty, no foul.
Just drop that left rear.
Let's see it again. It happened pretty quick, but it was a super catch from Darren Law.
Watch this as you climb the hill. Watch as he turns into that next corner. Just drops the left rear in the grass there as he's trying to turn in.
So easy to do that. Your eyes have already left that part of the racetrack. You're looking toward the apex, and he just let it wander a bit far.
That's all right. It's just another catch-up period for Darren Law, and now the yellow flies again. So this will help his cause. The Daytona prototype field will come together.
This, I'm hearing, is debris on the front stretch. There's part of it right there. I think there's probably debris everywhere right now, to be honest with you.
Oh, and Oz Negri just went flying past our race leader.
Didn't see that caution out then,
He
I'm sure.
obviously didn't see the yellow.
He'll let that go back and shouldn't gain any kind of a problem with that.
Yeah, he'll let Ryan go straight back by, so he's corrected that situation very quickly, so no penalty, I would imagine.
38.5 minutes remaining, and we're under our second full course caution. Sizable debris, dangerous debris on the front stretch that will need to be cleaned up, cleared out, and a very unfamiliar sight. The Ganassi BMW ride stationary while the race is still going on. Time to bring you up to speed with a race recap of a few of the major things that have gone down. Look at this. Early contact between John Fogarty and Memo Rojas. That was the catalyst for quite the comeback drive from Rojas. Contact here between Alex Popov and Scott Maxwell. They were able to get going again and no harm done there. And not quite the case here as Popov contacted Terry Borchella.
Yeah, damage to the 9 car. You see Valiente there in the 90 in the middle of the mix. The 51 car not having a brilliant day, and it got worse here with some problems. Pulls it off to the side of the road.
Dion von Moltke driving there. We went for some 80-plus laps without a caution, and then we had our first, and it was the major incident of the race. Scott Pruitt hitting Alex Gurney. Alex Gurney hitting Scott Pruitt. Day done for both teams, Dorse.
Both. Rear suspension damage not able to be repaired. Both cars are out, and it's catastrophic for the 99 in the championship.
Last time the Ganassi car had a really poor result was Lime Rock 2010. Guess what it was for? Both those teams came together.
Those two cars seem to be magnetic.
They have some history.
Greg Creamer, what do you have for us?
Well, just a couple of updates. First of all, bad news for the 99. It went from bad to worse. They're now behind the wall. Left rear corner, way too mangled. They just couldn't get the fix done. They're behind the wall and parked. The other side of the story is a very good one for the number 60 Mike Shank Racing team. They had lost radio contact. Oz has not been able to hear them. He came in, made his own decision to pit because he wasn't sure where they were. They actually had a board over the wall saying, stay out, stay out. He missed it, came in. They thought that in terms of a competitive finish, they were done. These two cautions now have brought them right in. Mike Shank said his only concern is the tires aren't quite as good as those behind. And it looks like we're going back to green.
Ready to go racing with just over 34 minutes to go. We've had a different winner in every race in Daytona prototypes this year, and odds are on for another one. Look at Dane Cameron on the inside in that Mazda. Wow, that was a forceful move. Great drive.
That's a wild run there, and he's taken the lead from Rob Nadell. Dane Cameron goes to the front of the GT pack.
Boy, you got to hope he did all that before. I mean, after he passed start-finish line, though, he might have been deemed a jump start. He made a lot of move right there.
You cannot initiate a pass. It means you can't be going alongside another car before the stripe. You can't be jumping out too early, so we'll have to wait and see. It looked like a good, clean move, but meanwhile, Dial again has got the hammer down early and stretched it on Oz Negri.
Check this out. Look to the right. Look to the right. Look at Dane Cameron. That was quite the restart.
He had a killer move up the inside, and it looked like you said, Calvin, looked all clean.
I don't think Rob Nadell realized he was coming. I think Rob was making room for the DP traffic, and Dane just drove by him on the exit of turn 1.
Great view from the FXDD Ferrari of Jeff Siegel, who is also very much in the mix. So too is that pink and white Magnus Porsche with Andy Lally. That has been quite the comeback drive.
Look at Jeff Siegel there, our championship leader, along with Emile Asentado. He's looking strong once again in the FXDD AIM Autosport Ferrari. Ferrari's going to be a factor all year long, I feel.
Chris?
Well, I know we've been watching the fuel mileage on those Mazdas, and we were concerned that they couldn't make it to the end. Well, that 42 car came to pit lane prior to that caution that Scott Pruitt and Alex Gurney had early on, but Katie Crawford made a great call during that caution. She came to pit lane. She topped the car up. They are good to go on fuel. I checked in with all the other GT cars, everybody from the 44 to 69 and also the 59 saying they're good to go on fuel.
Tell you what, that's got to be the move of the race. I mean, that was just a phenomenal run up the inside. wrestle that lead away. And I agree totally that Robin Liddell didn't see that one coming at all.
I think he saw a pile of DPs thinking, let them go and I can get on with my game. And Cameron was so barreled down the inside there. Took him unawares. So good, strong move here. Remember, Dane Cameron, as Chris just mentioned, has a lot more fuel on board than Robin Liddell, but maybe Liddell will now be back in his fuel window without needing a splash with all of this caution here in the last few minutes.
Championship leading car in GT, we ride with Jeff Siegel. He and Emil Asentado have been GT champions before. They want to do it again in a different team, different car.
This GT battle is intense. Right behind these guys, we've got Lally, we've got Johnson in the Turner Motorsports M3, we've got Jordan Taylor on a charge. He's been quick all day.
Here's Andy Lally, and right behind is the first time we've seen the 94 Turner car today with Billy Johnson. As Carl just mentioned, he is filling in for Bill Aublin, who has other racing duties and has helped Paul Dell'Alana and Will Turner's organization hugely. This has been quite the drive from the regular Roush driver in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series. Billy's on a flyer.
He's silently been just sneaking his way up there, and you look behind and there's a big skirmish. This could be big.
Look at that scrum behind them, but someone locked up there in the leading pack as well. Not sure if it was Jordan Taylor, someone down into turn one.
Spencer Pumpelli gets the best of that in the Porsche around the outside.
59 car's got some drama. You can see the front splitter there completely torn up on Lee Keen's car. What do you hear, Chris?
Well, it sounds like Lee Keen ran over a curb on the back part of the racetrack about 5 minutes ago, breaking that front splitter, and since then he's dropping wheels everywhere. I've seen him come off the track coming onto the front straightaway, so he slid from leading GT all the way back to, I think, 7th or 8th right now.
And there's a story that's still alive, Callan Dorse, and that is that run for 3 consecutive wins. That caution, those 2 cautions, helped Jonathan Bomarito and Sylvain Tremblay. They are still in with a shot with half an hour left.
Yeah, they're back. They're on the lead lap. They're down a little ways in 8th spot. They have a fast race car. Talking about that front splitter, it's almost like a shelf that sticks out from the nose and just plants the front end doors. It gives it a lot more downforce, grips the front of the car going through the corners. When that's missing, you're just along for a ride.
Of course, that Porsche's got the engine and transaxle at the very back. Most of its weight's back there without the added downforce needed on that nose. It really isn't a very matched car balance-wise.
Mazda, Camaro, Ferrari, Porsche, BMW. Doesn't get any better than that as Siegel looks on the inside of Robin Liddell. Not quite close enough. Speaking of Liddell, Greg Creamer, what are they saying at Stevenson for the 57?
He said those cautions were exactly what they needed. I talked to Mike Johnson, and he is confident, well, sort of, but confident that they can make it to the end.
Look at Dane Cameron. He's dirt tracking that little Mazda there through that chicane. Sliding that car around. They've been very happy with the car. They did the promoter test day here on Thursday. Found a good setup underneath it. And away they go. They had a lot of confidence coming into this one. They thought this could be their track to shine, and they're doing it.
It has been characteristically the best track Mazda runs at. They are undefeated pretty much. I mean, they won the last 2 years in a row. Last year was a Mazda 1 through 4 sweep.
What you've got to remember is that this team is a family-run team by the Nonna makers, Father Joe, Will and Wayne, with the support of Joe Salin, the man behind the sausage company, the meat company up there in upstate New York. And they were a tight-knit organization, did very, very well in club racing, and then in the Grand Am Cup, Coney Challenge, now Continental Challenge. They've been in the Rolex series for a number of years now. They really stepped it up, but only over the last 2 years they really made a serious commitment financially to step up their equipment, their cars and their drivers, and they are thrilled with what Dane Cameron has brought to the party.
They really are. I mean, they're very disappointed when they lost Jonathan Edwards, but they have the perfect replacement in Dane Cameron, a young American. As Siegel goes for second, down the inside of Robin Liddell with the Ferrari.
Clean as a whistle. Got it done just the way you want to. Textbook out-braking maneuver down into turn 1.
That has opened up an opportunity for that pink and white Porsche. The 44 of Andy Lally, multi-time series champ. And he's going for his 100th podium today in Grand Am Series competition. He's only 1 position away from it. It's pretty tense down at the Salins camp. Let's go there now with Chris.
Yeah, but Katie Crawford's looking pretty relaxed right now. Katie, your boy put that thing right up in the lead on that restart. Did you call the green?
I called the green, but he's my hero. I think we all just wanted to turn around, and we all just want to hide for a while now. That was amazing.
Jeff Siegel right now charging up to second place. You worried about that Ferrari?
Definitely. They show speed late in the stint. You know, with the tires, they seem to be able to hold on. And this track is a good track for them. They're good on the infield, so yes, very worried.
Well, this team was second at Homestead. They're hoping to do one better today.
If you're worried, if you're wondering about the incidence of pink here today, it's because this event, the Global Barter 250, is presented by Susan G. Komen for The Cure, particularly the Central and South Jersey affiliate. They service 13 different counties, raising the awareness of breast cancer and helping raise funds for research as well. It has touched a lot of people, a lot of families, including families amongst our racers here. So thank you to everybody for supporting that worthy cause.
Well, I called this one a little earlier as the move of the race, and that was just my personal opinion. But Dane Cameron on this restart, watch this Mazda up in front here as he sees something like a quarterback does. He sees an opening that only he can find, and he drives that Mazda right to the front.
And Lally tried to defend. You saw Lally sort of like break, you know, the train as soon as he could. Once he hit the stripe, Lally went to the right, and Cameron just went further and committed himself down to the inside. And Liddell was really caught unawares there. Didn't expect it, I don't believe.
When you put a move on Andy Lally like that, that's something special. So GT is equally as exciting as DP. Look at this. Ryan Dial has just half a second lead over Max Angelelli. Oz Negri dropped back to third. Darren Law is on the comeback trail. And Richard Westbrook rounds out the top 5. Quick programming reminder about Hard Parts South Bronx Saturday immediately following the All-Star race. You can get a special preview on the new Speed Series Hard Parts South Bronx. See Joe and his Tough as Nails team hunt down impossible to find auto parts. That is Hard Parts South Bronx immediately following the All-Star race.
Well, this battle is heating up for the lead of this race. Ryan Dial has done a brilliant job. He's digging deep. He's really running the fastest laps of his race so far. But Angelelli is closing in. You'd have to believe that Angelelli has a slightly faster race car based on the lap times thus far. We believe this Corvette is better suited to the twists and turns of this New Jersey Motorsports Park race course. But track position is everything. Ryan Dial, what a job this team has done. They call it the extreme makeover of that team in terms of the equipment and the cars that they have here this year. At one point, they led 2 different championships. This championship and the World Endurance Championship. After a month of racing this year, they've really done a tremendous job.
Got to believe the further it goes green, the more it plays into Max Angelelli's hands. That car we know runs through its stint pretty well. Ryan Dial in the 8. This is, like you just said, Calvin, the best it's run all weekend.
Coming up on Paul Tracy in that 77 machine, and PT actually just recently handed over the reins back to Dr. Jim Lowe. That Doran Dallara stays wide and allows the front runners through. You get the onboard view from Lowe's car.
Just moves out of the way, which is the right thing to do.
That's 3rd through 5th right there. Oz Negri, Darren Law, and Richard Westbrook duking it out for that final podium spot at the moment.
Cal, isn't it one of the wonderful things about sports car racing? You've got a Pro-Am team leading an All-Pro team. Then you go back to third, another Pro-Am driver combination leading a couple of All-Professionals. You know, the different cars, the different power plants, the different driver combinations. That's what the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series is all about.
And I tell you what, you've got to hand it to some of these Pro-Am drivers. Enzo Potolicchio, for example, that drive he put together at the beginning of Homestead in the rain. At one point, Richard Westbrook said to us this weekend, I thought it was Ryan Dial behind the wheel. They'd done a driver change I didn't know about because he was doing such a fantastic job. Same for Popov, same for John Pugh.
So far this season, the Pro-Am combination has shown more than ever before, I think, guys. I mean, they've really got some good classic combinations of car driver right now, and this has been a premier year for them.
Is this going to be an historic day for the Salins Mazda team? It very well could be. Or is Jeff Siegel going to spoil the party like Max Angelelli on Ryan Dial? They rub very hard down there into turn 1, and that allows Negri to get up nice and close.
Tell you what, there's the eyes of Wayne Taylor. He can see he looks concerned. He really felt that we had the car to win this race, particularly with the 01 and the 99 gone. But Dial is not going to give it up. He's digging deep. He is a tiger behind the wheel.
Wayne's looking big picture. He's looking at championship. And, of course, right now, he's looking at a guy in front of his man that wants to play hardball.
Here's the replay. Angelelli's going to be on the right, Dial the left.
Yeah, Dial immediately swung over to the inside of the racetrack. Then he tries to get back online a little bit. Really nothing to do with Angelelli there. He just held line. Dial was really just trying to force it back out to the left to turn in.
So if you're Wayne Taylor, if you're Simon Hodgson, the SunTrust team manager, are you on the radio now saying to Angelelli, Ganassi are out, Gainsco are out. We need big championship points here today. Settle down.
Well, the championship is the big picture, and there we see a replay of that moment down into turn one. But there are 10 rounds to go, including this one here today. There's a long way to go in this championship. You don't want to give up these big points, but at the same time, you can't afford to throw it away. It's a fine line.
Greg?
Well, and you guys mentioned it earlier, track position. I just checked in with Peter Barron, and he said it is completely a track position game. He said Ryan is driving immensely well because they have very little downforce on the car. It's got great straight line, but when he gets caught up and has to carry speed through turns, it's all Ryan carrying the car right now. And of course, that's hard on tires, so they're hoping they'll last tires here into this final 15 minutes.
You just saw a GT Audi try and take on a Corvette DP, and you saw who won. That was Goulart, got bounced off Westbrook.
Yeah, Elvin Goulart in the Audi R8 unfortunately did make contact and got knocked out into the dirty part of the racetrack. Take a look at it right here, and you'll see the Audi comes up the worst for wear. This has got to be where you'd be heads-up driving right now. You got a whole bunch of DPs, and Elvin never saw that, and he turned right into the side of the DP.
No fault of Westbrook there, who has got around the Action Express car to assume the 4th spot right now, so he's in the thick of it, but nothing he could do about that one. He'd already committed, and Elvin just turned into him.
Chris, what's going on at SunTrust?
Well, they were just talking about essentially what Greg was saying. They feel that Ryan Dial is also burning the tires off of that car, and they're telling Max, hey, take your time. Don't worry, we've got 20 more minutes to go. Just keep burning them down. Watching the 8 car going to turn 1, very twitchy under braking compared to the 10 car.
We want to say a quick hi to everybody watching via Motors TV in the UK and Europe. Your man Richard Westbrook is on a real tear here. He's got by Darren Law. He's up to 4th, and now he's starting to work on Oz Negri. Here he is in the all-blue Corvette right there.
And those Rileys, remember, got a little bit more aero help at the last round. It didn't show so much at Homestead, because a lot of guys like to trim out there, but they've got the louvers on the front fender, which really allows the air to escape, giving you more grip on the front end, and also some tiny little dive planes. They're only an inch wide, but it helps a little bit.
Switching gears to GT, and Dane Cameron, in his first year with this Salins organisation, is handling the pressure from Jeff Siegel very well, Dorse.
The Ferrari looks really, really good, and of course we didn't have the Ferrari last year. The last several years it's been all Mazda. That car does look equal to the Mazda. As far as I'm concerned, Calvin, I think we've got a real threat here.
Yeah, well, it's a very balanced race car. Katie Crawford alluded to that. She said that the car is really good on the long stints, and what you mean by that is not eating up the tires. The car is balanced. It's using the front and rear tires at the same rate, so it doesn't overload one end of the race car. Means on the longer runs, you got good grip underneath you. Change position here. Look at this. Westbrook looked like he's dropped a position again.
Yeah, Darren Law's got the better of that Spirit of Daytona car. It's 2 Corvette DPs fighting it out here. Meanwhile, back up front, Angelelli has taken a breath, he's regrouped, and now intensifies the pressure on Ryan Dial, the Scotsman who now lives permanently here in the United States. This is good hard racing. The Ford-powered Riley versus the Chevrolet Corvette for SunTrust Racing.
This is great racing. You talk about the big picture. I think any other driver you may be able to convince. Just think of the big picture in the points. Max Angelelli, I'm not so sure, Dorsey.
I knew where you were going with that one, and I agree with you 100%. Max drives with his heart. He doesn't want to be told to come in second ever. He wants to win, and he didn't like that little side-by-side run down in turn 1. He wants a payback.
This is a moment ago. Watch for Darren Law. Watch the 90. Watch the 60. Whoa, Westbrook got in there hard, and then Darren Law said thanks.
Yeah, Westy really piled it in there and made contact with Oz Negri. Oz Negri doesn't give any inch around the racetrack. Going to fight you tooth and nail for every position.
Of course, that was Eric Kern in the 31 Whelen Corvette that they were trying to use as a pick. He's trying to fight his own battles out there as well.
And again, it shows you just how robust these Daytona prototypes are.
I had to say the very same thing. They've been banging around on each other pretty hard here today. Other than the 9901 hit, they've survived.
There is a Ford-powered car out in front of this race, and with that, we take you to the sad news the motorsport and automotive community learnt just this past Thursday of the passing of automotive legend Carroll Shelby. Man who started out his life as a test pilot, a fighter pilot, became a chicken farmer. He was a roughneck on an oil rig, but he is most synonymous with the iconic Shelby Cobra. He's a man who dreamt, designed, and built a car that he took to Le Mans and beat the giants like Ferrari. A quick quote from the late Carroll Shelby. He said, "I'm not an engineer, I'm not a good businessman, I'm not good at anything. But if you can pick a few good people and let them do what they're good at and keep the ship afloat and upright, then amazing things can happen. To me, that's the American way. Carroll Shelby was 89. Boy, the action's been hot while we're in that last commercial break. Jeff Siegel in the 69 FXDD Ferrari for the lead in GT. These are the championship leaders and beautifully executed.
Yeah, very clean pass. You see Dane here scrambling for grip a little bit. He opened the door just slightly. Jeff just slides it in there, Dorsey.
And while that was happening, of course, it was up front that we had to go. As Max Angelelli's been trying to find a way by Ryan Dial, drops the wheel to the inside, gets grip, and muscles his way into the lead.
So it's all going on, respective class lead passes. And Max the Axe Angelelli out in front. Law and Westbrook are still going on at it. They're in the background. And this is huge for the SunTrust team. They've been on the podium for the past 4 consecutive years here, never been victorious. We could have a different winner again here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. We understand there's some unhappiness in the Star Works camp. Let's find out from Peter Barron.
Well, I just talked to Peter. He really doesn't want to talk right at the moment. He is furious because he says that Max Angelelli hit the back of Ryan Dial's number 8, knocked it wide, and drove underneath. He called the officials over. He has been jawing at the officials. Not happy right down here in the Star Works pit.
Been deemed a racing incident, guys, as the ones we've seen prior today also have been. So once again, no penalty or foul called.
Yeah, I mean, I think the calls have been consistent today in terms of their allowing a bit more argy-bargy around this very twisty racetrack. Here's another replay at it. You can see Ryan just getting stacked up a little bit behind the 88. Max takes to the inside. I don't have a problem with that one, really.
No, Max dropped a wheel trying to avoid contact. He saw the dirt fly up, so I mean, it wasn't an intentional trying to loosen the guy up there.
Still going to be, if positions remain as is, a very productive day for Car 8 from Star Works. They will go back into the championship lead, which is huge. And the 10 SunTrust car, the Chevrolet Corvette, will consolidate its position as well and clawing back. Remember, they saw 14 laps at the season opening Rolex 24 at Daytona. It was disastrous, and it has been quite the climb from there.
It really was, Lee. And then a big drama at Barber, where we had Max had that incident with Darren Law, got the stop and go penalty, so not the ideal start to the season, but they come in here with some momentum. The win at Homestead, great strategy call. The race was shortened. They were in the right place at the right time, had the big win. Ricky had a tremendous lap here. He really drug that car around by its shirt tails there and got the pole position, and they've executed here today, Dorsey.
I suppose that, you know, the proof in the pudding is what you see right now. The fact that Max Angelelli once by is now just checked out from the field. He had a better car. I think he was, after being talked about Wayne Taylor to calm down, don't get your dander all up, just hold off, we got a lot of race left. He was able to compile that, and once he's made the pass, now he's just going.
A switch to GT from Daytona Prototypes as Osnegri puts a little bit of pressure on. Look at that, nice clear road for Jeff Siegel. He hails from Philadelphia. This is not really his home track because Philly was where he grew up. He thinks more of Homestead Miami Speedway is his home track because that's where he spent his days at college and early racing years. Boy, this is tight. This is intense in GT.
It is. He can't afford to relax because Dane Cameron isn't going anywhere. Liddell's putting the pressure on Dane. You see there the one of the DPs coming through, but Lally's in the picture as well. So there's still a bit of time left in this race, just under 9 minutes. So a lot can still play out.
And as bizarre as it might sound, Dorse, for that 57 Stevenson Camaro, Mike Johnson, team manager, and the crew have been so frustrated this year. They felt as though they've never been in a situation where they could have raced for a podium or raced for a win. And I'm not going to get into the nuances of what that is, but they just felt as though their hands have been tied. Today, they've been able to run free, pole position by over half a second, and they've been up in the top 5 whole race long. It's been a really good day for Stevenson here in New Jersey.
You know, we talk about different cars and different racetracks and how they might be suited to one another better than others. This certainly is a track that's been suited to Mazda. Obviously, it's suited to Ferrari right now. That Camaro is coming into its own in some tracks coming up. When I see it go to Belle Isle and Detroit, our next race, I see that being a contender for the win. win.
Yeah, Mike Johnson told me just as I was coming up to the booth, in fact, to call the race here today, he said, don't expect us to stay up front for long. Yes, we got the pole, but we're running the tires off the thing. Really hasn't been... Oh, look at this. Liddell looks to the inside of Dane Cameron there.
Almost got him loosened up, and sometimes you got to do that around here. There's not much passing room.
Don't discount that pink Porsche. It's Andy Lally. They won the Rolex 24 at Daytona in GT. Andy's won that numerous times. He's won the GT championship numerous times. He and John Potter, it's a new combination this year. Switching from years at TRG, it's a new experience for Andy Lally. And he's really helped John Potter's cause. He's helped the team. John Bedell and the boys are really thrilled by what they got going on in the 44 this year. Liddell and Lally are really used to racing tight and close together. They've been doing it for many years. Will that Porsche prevail in the last 7 minutes?
Remember, Andy Lally going for his 100th Grand Am podium here today. There's a little bit of a bet on the line with his Kinetic Kia Sport team over in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series. Whoever gets the podium first, he or the Magnus team. Nick Johnson over there is going to wear the hamster suit on the grid at the next race. Or the team manager here at Magnus will do the same thing if Kinetic beat them to them. But Lally looking strong here for potential podium.
You know what, boys? Jeff Siegel has lost his lead margin. Dane Cameron is as close as he has been. They are starting to zero in like they are on second place Ryan Dial. Look at this, second through fifth.
Wow, how competitive is this series? Look at this. Second through fifth here. Through sixth, should I say, in the DP ranks.
And all these cars, Calvin, pretty equal with one another. I don't really see any of, I can't tell you of these 5 cars who's got a better car or who's got a better situation right now. I think these are as close as you get.
Yeah, Oz has come alive, certainly. Dial took off at the beginning of this stint, but Oz has really hung in there nicely, looking very, very strong. But this is just a tremendous battle all day long. Angelelli's checked out a little bit, got a nice healthy lead. 2 seconds, it was over 3 the lap before, so he hit some traffic on that one.
2 seconds with 6 minutes to go. That's fairly comfortable if you're Max Angelelli, a driver of that caliber.
Plus, he's cleared this traffic. This Audi R8 and the Porsche in front of it are going to hold up these prototype guys just a bit.
GT leader on your left, Jeff Siegel looking back at Dane Cameron. Best result in Rolex Series competition for that Salins Mazda team is second. They did it last year at Road America.
Tell you what, Lally looks strong in that Magnus Porsche. I think he's going to have a go at Liddell here before the finish.
I was about to say that before, that GT pack tightened up, and the reason it tightened up is Andy Lally coming up from the rears has forced the hand of everybody in front of him to step it up a notch.
Talking with Jay Chapman, who is the team manager there at the Salins Mazda team. They came off a second, I should say, too, at Homestead Miami Speedway 2 weeks ago. He said that was a huge morale boost for this team. Well, Wayne Nonamaker and Dane Cameron have carried that momentum from Miami to New Jersey, fending off Robin Liddell. Consecutive podiums for a small team like Salins is huge.
It really is. It's really shown the strength of the operation. I mean, they are now a factor week in and week out. We should see the odd highlight in their season where they suddenly be strong, but right now, every week you can depend on them to be in the thick of things.
Guys, 4 minutes, 43 seconds to go, and I see this getting ugly. I mean, it's going to be down to 2 laps essentially around here for second place. Max is gone. I think he's in good shape. And in GT, it's going to be the same scenario, a really big fight here.
What is it about this track that produces different winners every year in Daytona prototypes? We've never had a race that's even close to being similar. Oz Negri and Mark Patterson won in the first year in 08. In the wet, Ricardo Zonta and Nick Johnson won for Tracy Krone's team as Richard Westbrook puts the pressure on. Then 2 years ago, John Fogarty, Alex Gurney won for Gainsco. And last year, the Ganassi boys did it, Pruitt and Rojas. It's looking very, very good for Ricky Taylor and Max Angelelli with just 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, can they get 2 in a row? Can Siegel and Asentado get 2 in a row in the GT ranks? We talk about momentum. Those 2 teams have it right now.
Looking at the back of the lead Ferrari and GT, and you see there is the deficit back to second and third, fourth and fifth.
It'll be a season best result for that 57 car for Robin Liddell. Meanwhile, increasing pressure on Mike Shank Racing's Oz Negri. He's trying desperately to hold on to that last step on the podium.
He is. Darren Law looks for a way by, but he seems to lose a little bit of ground for that fast sweep, but that could be the aero wash you get. When the air is taken away from the nose of the car by the car in front of you, you have to step out of the throttle just for an instant there in that high-speed kink.
And these GT cars are going to have to be dealt with as they negotiate the 59, the next in line. Who will get by clean and who's going to get held up? There's desperation.
Dial looks safe now in second, so Angelelli leads, but meanwhile the battle for second in GT heats up once again. Liddell, the tires seem to be hanging in there on that Camaro. Siegel still leads, but look at Cameron there, trying to fend off the 57 machine.
Camaro really doing a good job late in the race like this to be as strong as it is.
This has to give these guys hope, Dorsey, because they didn't think they would have the durability and the longevity in the tires. And this is this new Continental GTR compound that seems to suit everyone and gets everyone back in the game. They're loving the performance at the end of these stints. There's not so much drop off. The guys can go racing hard.
They've caught the Ferrari. It's over with as far as the big gap that it had. They're right there, and they're going to have 2 laps to go, or one more this time, more than likely.
Seems to rubber band a little bit, Dorse, doesn't it? Because Siegel, just when he seems to have a rear view full of Dane Cameron's Salen's Mazda, he's able to pull away again. And tell you what, the rest of the GT field have got to be worried about this Ferrari. Second 2 races ago at Barber. First in the wet at Homestead Miami Speedway, and just 2 minutes away from consecutive victories for that Ferrari 458 Italia.
And like I said, that Camaro, if it should hold tight like it is right now, it's going to go for second.
He looks to the inside.
This is a better result than that they would have expected. And they're coming into some tracks that are going to be good.
Oh, Cameron's wide. Cameron's really wide. He's in the dust.
Gone.
Too far.
Podium eliminated.
I don't think he was nudged by Robin Liddell. He just got a little bit wide there. Robin ran a little bit wide as well. But I don't think there was any contact, Dorsey.
I agree with you. They both got in over their head. They both were in the dirty part of the racetrack, pushing off the outside. I think Robin Liddell saved him.
He has, and Andy Lally's been elevated to third. Let's take a look at what happened. Watch car 42.
Just gets in there, you float the car on the entry to this corner, and he's just out in the marbles there, very dirty, as you said, Dorsey, at this stage of the race.
And the 1 car length difference that the Camaro was back gave it enough room to get gathered up in that corner.
Max the Axe Angelelli in his SunTrust Corvette will see the white flag next time by. 1 lap to go for the Italian.
Been a superb performance. This has been one mega Daytona prototype race. I mean, we talked about Rojas's stint at the beginning here, but Ricky Taylor held on so well. Brilliant pole, and then really managed the race very well. Ultimately, the tires gave up a little bit. Angelelli was under a lot of pressure, but he's also done a tremendous job, aided, of course, by the 01 and the 99's contact.
Now, Robin Liddell solidly in second place in the Camaro, no question. You see the Ferrari right there up front. Siegel, I don't think under much pressure at this point. Andy Lally in the pink Porsche can really upset this apple cart.
Get that hamster suit ready, Nick Johnson.
Billy Johnson behind him is having a good look. Is he close enough on this final lap? Remember last November when it was huge news in the automotive industry, but particularly the motor racing industry, that Chevrolet with its Corvette brand was coming big to the Rolex Sports Car Series in Daytona prototypes. We came out at the season opening Rolex 24 at Daytona. It was won by Riley with the Ford Power and Mike Shank Racing. Since then, it's been Corvette with Spirit of Daytona, and last round with Wayne Taylor's SunTrust Racing. It could be 3 in a row here for the Corvette Daytona prototype at the hands of Max Angelelli and Ricky Taylor in just less than half a lap's time. Final sequence of corners. This diminutive and rather funny Italian can drive a sports car. Max the Axe Angelelli and Ricky Taylor finally win at New Jersey Motorsports Park. There's the 22-year-old Ricky Taylor and his more experienced co-driver. They finally break that podium hoodoo. Seconds and thirds no more. They go all the way to victory lane.
Few corners left here for the GT battle. Siegel has a nice lead here, Dorsey. He can just hit his marks. No traffic up ahead of him, most importantly.
With no mistakes being made there, the top 3 will remain as they are. And the Turner, number 94, has snuck its way up to 4th.
That's good. That would be a season best result for that Turner car if positions remain as is. But for Emil Asentato, the Pro-Am driver, former series champ, and Jeff Siegel, what the partnership they are with AIM Autosport. Let's not forget about the Canadian boys who prepped this car from Daytona prototypes to a Ferrari 458. It's been a steep learning curve, but they are back-to-back victors in GT racing in Rolex Series competition. There's Emil and his co-driver Jeff extend their championship lead. Wow. What a race. That 2 3/4 hours flashed by. We had a little bit of everything, and we now have our back-to-back winner in SunTrust Racing. Speed by Rolex, a crown for every achievement. Brought to you in part by Continental Tire, innovative technology, driving confidence, and by the all-new Mazda CX-5 with 35 highway miles per gallon. Well, what a drive, what a performance. Max the Axe Angelelli, his 20th Rolex Series win, and Ricky Taylor gets his 6th. They're in victory lane with Chris Neville.
Well, at Homestead, it was all about keeping the car underneath you in the rain, and today it was about surviving all the punches from everybody else in the field. The exhaust pipes on this thing are bent. Every bottle of ID panel on the car has a mark on it. You can see Wayne giving Max a big hug down here as this team goes 2 in a row. Max, great run today. You guys took shots from Gainesco, Ganassi, the Starworks guys. Everybody was throwing punches, but you guys survived.
Thank you. It was a very hard race. My middle stint, my first stint was so difficult. Finally, I got a new set of tires for the last stint, and the car was just fantastic. Our Corvette, SunTrust Racing, we won again. That's great.
Ricky, everybody on the team was hanging their heads after Daytona, that 14th place finish. You guys have worked your way up to 2nd in points. You got to be pretty happy.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I never expected we could have such a good points day. You know, with just 9 cars here. Got to say thank you to our car owner, Nelson Cambada, back home, and happy Mother's Day to Mom.
Yeah, he gives his mom a great Mother's Day gift.
Well, we're standing down here with the GT winners, and there's a lot of celebrating going on, to be sure. And they're enjoying this moment. 2nd win in a row, up now by 8 points in the championship. And Jeff, just I'll tell you what, those yellows came along right when you needed them. It looked like brought you right into the hunt.
You're telling me. I mean, we were really, really close on fuel there, just trundling around under yellow, hoping we wouldn't run out because we were going to pit that lap that it came out. But it ended up working out great. We had fresh tires and we had a great setup, and all throughout the week, you know, Ian Willis and the rest of the Motorsport crew did a great job of kind of calming me down and focusing on the long run and not just 1 lap pace, and that's exactly what we needed today. So we made it up under braking, we made it up in the tight bits, and we made it up over the long run. It was a really, really tough race, but very, very happy to have this momentum, and 2 in a row is fantastic.
All right, Emil, you had to give it in that early going, obviously. You didn't qualify quite as well as you would have wanted.
Yeah, we're disappointed qualifying. I don't know what was wrong with me. It wasn't the car. It was probably just me. And the start of the race was kind of difficult. Caught up between a couple of slower cars. Couldn't get by them. Finally, we got by them, but by then my stint was pretty much over. But we were running a good pace once we got by those guys. So we're pretty confident Jeff could bring it to the front if we could just get a yellow. The yellow came out just in time. We were too far behind to catch up with those guys.
Played out beautifully. 2nd win in a row.
Thanks, Greg. Let's have a look at GT Championship points, because the top 2 combinations remain the same, but Cal, the lead goes from 3 to 8 points in favour of the Ferrari boys.
Yeah, they're just executing right now. They're getting a little bit of the roll of the dice come their way, but boy, oh boy, what a performance by both of those drivers.
All right, Dorse, you ready to see DP? You ready to see Daytona Prototype? It is anybody's championship. Look at this. It swings from the Ganassi way to Starworks. Potolicchio and Dial lead by 4 over our back-to-back winners, Taylor and Angelelli.
4 races in the books, and it is tight as it can be. I can't say. I said at the beginning of this show, I don't know what team's going to win this championship. It's wide open for anybody who wants to step up.
Team and teamwork are the magical words there, Cal, because after Daytona, these guys thought their championship was done.
Yeah, it was really a tough start to the year, having that engine failure early. They had the penalty at Barter, but to come back with 2 consecutive wins in this heat of competition is phenomenal. And the big losers today, of course, the 99 team. They had the engine failure at the last race, the electrical issue, and today damage to the race car puts them behind the wall once again.
Dorsey, 3-week break. We go to a very different circuit on the streets of Belle Isle, Detroit. How do you see that one?
Very few guys ever ran that race. I've run it before, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be a war, a street war at that.
What an enjoyable day at Thunderbolt Raceway, New Jersey Motorsports Park. The weather was a lot cooler. The racing was probably hotter. What a great Mother's Day. Hey, if you haven't spoiled your mum today, you've still got time. Thanks for watching Sports Cars on Speed. It's been live and it's been fun. We'll see you in 3 weeks from Detroit.